Hey everybody, it's finally Friday night once again. Our favorite show of the week. Well, my favorite show of the week. I don't know if it's your favorite show or not. Probably. Right?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go change this tablet out. It keeps crashing on me. This tablet had problems. It got wet.
Yeah, well, tell everybody how it got wet.
I just fucking spilled a drink.
He just spilled a drink on it.
Yeah, it just splashed on it.
Not an alcoholic drink.
It doesn't matter. It was that fucking sugar-free stuff.
Yeah, the powder stuff.
Yeah,
that you put it in the water.
Yeah.
But,
It was sun-kissed strawberry.
There you go.
Sugar-free sun-kissed strawberry. Splashed on there and it fucking having all kinds of problems. It doesn't see the SIM card anymore. The on-off fucking button doesn't work.
Yeah. He has 2 tablets, but...
Yeah, I gotta get the other one because it can't buffer the stream, so it's not working very well.
Yeah, I thought you were going to take that to get fixed.
Yeah.
But you were just waiting to see if it would dry out.
Yeah.
CB says, Jenny looks sexy as hell in red. Thank you very much. I had like a red wig on too, but it didn't look good, so I changed it for this one. Zach said, it's also finally the return of humidity to Indiana and my hair is not having it. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty humid here all the time, but it hasn't been too bad. Well, I say it hasn't been too bad, but I haven't really been outside all that much, so it's easy for me to say it hasn't been that bad when I just sit in the air conditioning all the time and really only go out at night. We did go out to the movies last Sunday.
Yeah.
But it wasn't too hot. It was hot, but it wasn't too hot. Not yet. Not yet.
This thing is still fucking with me. Okay. All right. Because I had stuff over. Coming into the chat.
Oop, he's coming in.
Into the chat.
Here he comes.
So today...
Gonna be inside the chat.
Is another... Another sidetrack show. I was going to say flashbacks.
Well, it could be that too.
It's Friday. The weekend is upon us. And we're going to have a few drinks with you and fucking talk about bullshit, whatever you guys want to talk about.
Hooray.
If you have any questions about any cases that we've covered, just if you want to fucking ask me or Jed any kind of fucking questions, it can be on any topic. And we'll go that way. If not, it'll just be me and Jen sitting here drinking and bullshit with each other.
Yeah, that never happens though. Like we never run out of shit to talk about. It
always
seems
talking
like
shit, making comments.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So it always turns out pretty good.
Okay.
But yeah, what have we been up to today? Nothing really. I was just working all day as usual. But you know. They're talking about Camp Guy's talking about a dehumidifier in the summer. Yeah, we've honestly never really needed one. The AC works pretty good in here. Like I said, we have 2 units, like one for downstairs and one for upstairs. And I guess it depends on the room. Like my office, for whatever reason, is always like freezing cold, like even in the summer. Like sometimes I even need a jacket, even in the summertime because it's so cold in here. But the other rooms are not as cold. You know what I mean? Like the bedroom is kind of warm-ish, but we have those fans on either side of the bed, so that helps a lot. But because there's no ceiling fan in there for whatever reason, there's a ceiling fan in here, but I don't usually like to run it because it's too loud.
Oh shit!
Yeah, well now you done it.
Yeah, it just happens.
Okay, but
Just
well,
I'm trying to turn it down.
Okay, turn it down. I can't.
Yeah, just relax. It's okay, Jan. It's not the end of the world.
I know, but it's like I can't really.
I know.
That's like when people call radio stations and they have the radio on in the background.
No, it's just because I came into the comment section and I didn't realize the speaker was on.
CB
That's
says
another thing that doesn't work on that tablet anymore. The speaker.
I mean, maybe they could fix it. They could probably fix it.
Yeah, they said it could take several days for it to all dry out.
Have you tried?
And it's funny. It wasn't a lot. I just splashed some on it. It wasn't like it submerged or anything.
You haven't tried putting it like in the dry rice trick again?
Not yet.
Yeah. I mean, that might work. I've heard that works.
It has a cracked touch screen. So
yeah.
That's probably what happened. Is it got into one of those cracks?
I'm sure that's probably what it is. I mean, it has improved.
Yeah, it's improved. Look, this one's doing it too.
Oh, now you done it.
Yeah.
Got all kind of problems. You got all kind of problems. Huh?
There's a problem while playing. That's all it says.
Oh.
Both of them did that.
I wonder why.
I don't know.
Because you didn't spill anything on that one.
Nope. This is a totally different one. And I got a good connection.
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys are having any problems.
I mean, I usually, if it disconnects or fucks up, like, it sends me a little message, like a little thing pops up. That's why sometimes I'm always like, oh, are we still on? Are we still on? Because I get like a little pop up that says, hey, you disconnected. But it reconnects like automatically.
Let me check the smart TV. It might be on.
And sometimes it does. Sometimes it does it so quick that you guys don't notice. But I still get like a thing, so I don't know if it's on or not. CB says I put Brute on a sock and put it on the dehumidifier. My girlfriend's not happy about the smell of Brute all over the room. I remember my grandfather used to wear that, so I kind of remember what it smells like. I probably remember if I smelled it. I haven't smelled it in a long time.
I'm just going to restart it. It might be that.
Probably the best idea.
But no, smart TV was turned off. That wasn't that?
Yeah, because I couldn't hear it, so.
Yeah. Well, it could be on screensaver and the volume down low. That happens about.
But he's talking about it getting hot and everything. This is like it's my least favorite time of the year. It
doesn't bother me that much.
Well, it bothers me though. Yeah. Like I really don't
know
like
why
it.
You're indoors all the time.
I know, but it's like still, it's just I don't know. Everything about spring and summer is like depressing to me. Like just all of the I don't know. Like even all of the imagery around it and everything like that. Whenever I have to start doing shit for people for like make it summer and I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
I'm a fall and winter person. You know what I mean? So it's like every time it's like we want to do something beachy or I'm just like, oh no. Like I can do it, but it's like I'm not happy about it. Yeah, Camp Guy said we keep our AC on either 75 or 76 all summer with the dehumidifier working as well inside the house. Yeah, what do we keep ours on? Like 70?
72.
72?
Yeah, and it still feels hot in certain rooms.
In certain rooms. But like I said, it's hot kind of in the dressing room, but that's just because the shades are open all the time. Because we kind of like to have the shades open a little bit in some of the rooms because the cats like to lay in the sunbeams.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I'm not sure a dehumidifier would make any difference to this.
It might not.
Not here. I mean, if a tree frog gets in, it kills it within a couple days. You'll find it fucking dried out. Mm-hmm. Sitting on a fucking up in the upper corner of a piece of glass or something, a glass window, trying to get out.
Poor little froggies.
So
they don't know.
Yeah, so the air conditioning is strong enough at 72 to dry the place out. It feels like zero. It feels it's very low humidity in here. I can feel that.
Yeah, I don't get like I'm not like all sweaty or nothing. But like I said, I am glad we have fans in the bedroom.
Put a dehumidifier in here. What would happen is that me and Jen's nose would start bleeding.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Well, that's what Zach was saying about the wintertime. Yeah. Like his nose dries up.
Yeah.
And gets all dry. Which, yeah, I do get that. Like in real cold weather, that is annoying. Because I get well, I was gonna say like my lips crack, but my lips kind of crack all the time. Like so when I don't have lipstick on, I have to put like lip balm. I have to have lip balm on like all the time. Otherwise, my lips dry out like instantly. So, I don't know why. They've always been like that. So I always have to have shit on them. Not literal shit, but you know what I mean. I'm not putting literal shit on my lips. That would be weird. Full Metal Nosferatu says, we live in a third floor apartment style condo, but in summer the AC has got to be on all season, especially when we had a cat. Usually got to change the HVAC filter twice during the summer. Yeah, ours actually a couple times. Hasn't ours iced over a few times? It shouldn't happen anymore, I guess, since we had the new ones, but...
It did it again.
Huh. Wonder what the problem is. So I'm just going to have to read you the comments.
Must be something wrong with our... Must be something wrong with our cable.
Yeah, maybe so. I mean, I don't seem to be having any problems, but...
Let me go check downstairs, see if anything's on.
Nobody said that, like, don't redo the router or anything, because that'll fuck up everything. Full Metal Nosferatu says, Jenny, do you remember High Karate Cologne? I do. I remember that was, like, kind of a big thing. I remember, like, commercials for it and stuff, but I don't remember what it smells like. I remember, like, back in the 70s and 80s, there were, like, a lot of commercials for... Some of them were colognes, and then some of them I think were like body splashes, so like kind of cheap colognes, I guess. Like Jean Nate and fucking Charlie. I remember the commercials for that one. And what was that other one that was everywhere back then? Shit, I can't remember. And then I think like later on, you guys remember that fucking, I think it was perfume, and it was called Egoist, and it had those weird ass like strange European commercials with all these people like popping out of the window shutters, you know what I mean? Like yelling Egoist. I don't know why I remember that. You know what I mean? But I was like, so I guess it made an impression, like, because it was so fucking random. I don't know what that smells like either. I have the perfume I have now, which is actually really nice. Tom bought it for me because I'm kind of like, because I never really had a lot of money growing up, so I just kind of got used to just having cheap shit, you know what I mean? So it's just like, I'll just go, like I said, just buy the body spray that's like $2 or something like that, and just be happy with that. So Tom's like, well, you need some nice, like, perfume or something, you know? It's like, because I've never really had that. So yeah, so he bought me some Jimmy Choo. What the fuck is it called?
I couldn't find anything wrong.
Yeah, I don't know what your problem is.
The only thing I was thinking of is maybe I have to reset the router, but I'm not going to reset while we're straining.
Well, yeah, don't do that, because then we'll have to start all over.
Right.
And that would not work. But yeah, I think that perfume, because Jimmy Choo makes a lot of different perfumes, but I think that one is called I Want Choo. Isn't that what that one's called?
I don't remember.
I think it is, yeah. It comes in like a sparkly red box.
Used to have the bottle. It probably says it on there.
It didn't because it just had the JC logo on it, like a gold thing stuck on it. So it doesn't say. I think it said on the box, but I think the box I threw out. The box was pretty though, like it had like a red glittery box.
Maybe I'll cook. I'll choose low picture quality.
Yeah, maybe that'll work because maybe you're having a memory problem.
Yeah.
Retro Reaction says Obsession. Yeah, Tom wears that.
Yeah, I wear the men's version.
The man obsession.
Yeah.
Which
obsession for men sounds gay as shit, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
He has a man obsession.
Yeah.
But honestly, I really like that smell. I like that smell on you, like because you've worn that since I met you.
Yeah.
And
well, worn that one for shit forever since the 90s.
Yeah, and I just associate that smell with you. Because I remember, like, when we first started hanging out, like, I'd go over to your house and, like, all your clothes smelled like that, and I thought that was so awesome.
Well, I also wore, like, a couple other ones, like Fahrenheit. I liked that one.
Yeah, I remember that one smelling pretty good.
Yeah.
I remember that one smelling good.
So if I couldn't get fucking Obsession, I'd get Fahrenheit.
Yeah, I think, didn't you go down and, like, try out some different ones?
Yeah, there's new shit.
Like, not too long ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually went to get mine. I think we went to fucking, was it Macy's? Or no, Dillard's? Where the fuck? No, Belk. Yeah, that's right. Because there's a Belk in the mall over by the Chinese place. That's where we got it from. And we just kind of like tried out because I had no idea like what kind I wanted. And we didn't even really have to look that long. Like we found that one and we just tried one of them out. And Tom's like, "That's it." I was like, "Yeah, that's it." Like we knew immediately.
Yeah, she sprayed that shit, and I was just like, "Yeah, that's what I want." But it had that kind of a vanilla smell to it.
Yeah, but it's not overpoweringly. But like honestly, I had to look up later like what all was in it because it doesn't smell like any one thing. It's like a really good combination of a bunch of things, but I couldn't place it. So there's vanilla in there. I think there's some kind of citrus in there. I can't remember what else is in it. Some kind of flower, but I don't remember what kind it is. Zach says, "Would you ever wear a man's cologne?" I know some women who do that, actually. Yeah, I mean, depending on what it smelled like. The thing about it is, like, the distinction between cologne and perfume is so dumb. They're the same thing. They just have to call it cologne because perfume sounds too gay, I guess. And men won't buy it. But it's the same thing. Like, I've read... So, like, I got fascinated by... like perfumery, like making perfumes and stuff, and I did it for a little while, and I was like, and I read a bunch of books about it. I didn't get super deep into it or anything, but I kind of was just experimenting around with it, and they're all the same shit. I mean, you know what I mean? Obviously, men's colognes, you know, tend to be one kind of way, and women's colognes tend to be another kind of way, but not always. And actually, you have now there's a lot of ones that are just like gender neutral, you know what I mean, that aren't really one thing or the other. So, and they kind of market them that way because, like I said, they're all the same thing. It's just the bottle that looks different. We use like a manly bottle or like a womany bottle, I guess. But the one I have, like, the bottle doesn't, I guess it's kind of womany, but it doesn't really look super womany, you know? I used to like those, didn't like Betsy Johnson used to do some perfumes and stuff, and she always had, like, super cool bottles, because they were always kind of, like, gothy or kind of punk rock looking. And I used to like those. Yeah, Camp Guy's talking about Ego East. And he said one bottle of that stuff would be enough for the entire Patton's Third Army of World War II. It's that strong. See, now I'm like, I don't think they make it anymore, obviously, because that was what, back in the 90s, I think? That I remember that commercial, or maybe 80s. But I never smelled it. I was always kind of curious, but I never really smelled it. CB says Quorum Silver is good aftershave and scent. Yeah, there's so many to pick from. It's just like I didn't really know where to start, you know? Like when I went there, I was just like, so I just had to spray a bunch of shit and like see. But like I said, it didn't really take us that long to find that one. Oh, Full Metal Nosferatu says, back in the 90s, Bic, as in the lighters, had cheap-ass cologne. Yeah, I remember that. I don't think they do that anymore. But I do remember that happening. I used to just get, like I said, those fucking $2 bottles of scent, you know what I mean? That's mostly water, probably. And it doesn't stay on very long. That's why it's only $2. I think the $2 for those of you that have seen Better Off Dead. But that bottle, the Jimmy Choo, was 100 and what?
150 probably.
I think it was 140 yeah. Something like that. Yeah. But I still have. I mean, it lasts a long time because I don't wear it every day. I usually just wear it if I'm going out. You know what I mean? And then I just like 1 or 2 spritzes. So I still have like half a bottle left. And we bought it a long time ago. Full Metal Nosferatu says, Jenny, my fiance loves Happy by Clinique. Real pretty scent. I wonder what it smells like. I've heard of that one, but I don't remember. I don't know what it smells like. I think they still make this one. I don't know. But I used to really like one called Design. It was like in this kind of taller bottle that had kind of a maroon cap. And I would buy that sometimes, like, because you know how, like, Ross or Marshall's, they would have, like, discontinued stuff and it'd be, like, marked way down. Like, you know, it was new and everything. So, like, sometimes they had, like, a little perfume section, and, like, sometimes you could get, like, a big bottle of that stuff, which is usually, like, you know, with $70, $80. You could get it for, like, $15, $20. So, and it would last a long time. So I would sometimes get that there, but I don't know if they make it anymore. And I don't remember who made it. Like, it was a very no-nonsense. I don't think it was, like, one of the big frou-frou brands or anything. And like I said, I found that, this is funny, but when my grandma was still alive, when I was growing up, she used to get little sampler tubes, like that big, of different kinds of perfumes. And she never really used them, you know. I don't even know where she got them from. I think she got them from her sister. And so I would kind of go in there and play with them, just like, you know, that smell that one. And when I smelled that one Design, I was like, ooh, that's really nice. It's slightly musky, which I kind of like. And so I asked for it for like a bigger bottle of it for Christmas, I think, one year. And like for a long time, that was kind of my main thing that I wore all the time. But I couldn't always find it cheap because I couldn't afford to pay full price for it. Unless someone gave it to me as a gift. So usually if I was in Marshall's or something like that, like, and they had it, like, you know, marked 80% off or whatever, then I would usually get it then. CB says, I have 3 different ones from the Scent Reserve fragrances. They're Aventus, Invictus, and Sauvage. Ooh, I like that. Yeah, now they have, like, all those perfume, like, subscription services, like Scentbird and all that kind of stuff, where you can order ones and they'll send you, you know, 3 or 4 different ones or whatever, like, every month. So you can try out different ones. It's kind of expensive, but, I mean, I guess you get a lot for it, but, because I think it's, like, $18 a month or something. I'm just like, it's a little rich for my blood, honestly. Zach says, the big perfume reminded me when Burt's Bees made makeup a few years ago. Yeah, the only thing I ever saw, like, I guess I remember when they did makeup, but I they do the lip balm, which is actually pretty good. I bought it a couple of times. Although usually I just get chapstick, to be honest. I get the chapstick that's like birthday cake flavor. You know.
I was checking to see if that other tablet may have been interfering with it in another way, but it isn't. And then I forgot to give the cats fucking treat Temptations.
Oh yeah, so they're gonna come in.
Fill that up, yeah.
Yeah. Tanya Marie said, "Do you remember Exclamation?" Oh yeah, I remember that one. I think it was by Cody. Yeah, I remember that. It's just like, it's just so funny how some. I don't even know if there's like a particular perfume or anything that reminds me of high school. The smell that reminds me of high school is Aussie hairspray. Is Aussie hairspray. That immediately takes me right back to high school.
Yep.
In the purple can.
Purple can shit.
I still have some, actually. It doesn't smell quite the same because I think I have a different formula of it.
I have some of the gel.
Oh, yeah.
Hair spiky?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had some of that, but I didn't really like having crunchy hair so much, even in the 80s.
Yeah.
Even though everybody had crunchy hair.
Yeah.
What was that about? Yeah, Camp Guy says Drakkar Noir. Yeah, I always liked that one, too. Like,
yeah.
that always smelled
That one's
really
everywhere.
Good. Yeah.
You can find that everywhere.
Yeah, and you can still buy that now, too.
Yeah. A lot cheaper than it used to be, too.
Yeah, I feel like that kind of
higher end, but it's
yeah, that one kind of used to be sort of fancy. I feel like the ones that are sort of trendy, they can charge more for them. But like after a few years, when they're kind of not
when they're not
in fashion
they
anymore.
become the old people cologne.
Yeah, like Old
Although
Spice.
some of them are still like Obsession's still the same price. It's still high.
Yeah, that shit's not cheap. Like sometimes you can get it slightly cheaper on Amazon because I bought it for him for a present before, like when he was almost out. But it's. I think I got a smaller bottle, I think, and I think it was like $60.
Yeah, good size bottle's about $100.
Yeah. But it's just, like I said, I like that smell, and it's like that, I just associate that smell with you. So.
Yeah.
That's all.
Permeates all my clothes.
Yeah. But that's why he wanted to get me a perfume, too, that he's like, you don't really have a signature scent. You need.
Yeah, you don't wear that one enough, though.
I know, but I don't want to waste it. Yeah. I wear it like when we go out.
It's not really permeating anywhere.
That's true.
Yeah.
You should like spray it on.
Just she gets that. I push it on every fucking day.
Yeah, you do?
Every day. Just some days it's just a lot lighter than others.
Yeah. Zach says, the smell that reminds me of high school is unwashed hair and clothes with a weed scent that never comes out. My friends, not me.
Another thing that used to fucking make me think of fucking old goth chicks was patchouli.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
Yeah.
Patchouli and dragon's blood.
And frankincense and myrrh.
Yeah.
That too. Which kind of smells like patchouli.
Because for a while I had little bottles. I'd go to the witchcraft store that was down the street from where I lived in Daytona. And they had little bottles of dragon's blood oil, and it was not expensive. They had the what do you call it? The what's the word I'm looking for? The thing you like? Oh, incense. Okay, the incense sticks and stuff. God, I'm getting old. But yeah, they had that, and that smelled good too. I had a bunch of little incense cones that smelled like that, but I really liked the oil, and I would wear that as perfume sometimes. So that kind of reminds me of that time too, because it always smelled like dragon's blood.
I got an idea. If I assign out of the fucking 13 o'clock account, that might.
Yeah, maybe.
Could be that something wrong with the feed.
Yeah, I mean, you don't necessarily have to be signed into the account because the only reason you were doing that was to like make people moderators or whatever.
I'm gonna sign out of this account and go to my other account because it doesn't have any problems watching somebody else's video.
Okay. So yeah, just do that.
Yeah. Now let's see if it works now. Real good high definition image.
Full Metal says, Jenny, according to Google, Happy by Clinique is a fresh citrusy scent with an uplifting blend of lime, sea breeze accord, and cypress. That actually sounds kind of nice. I like kind of lighter scents. I generally don't like florally kind of scents unless it's like jasmine or orange blossom, and as long as it's not like super overpowering. I tend to like musky smells or stuff that's like lighter, stuff that smells like linen or that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I tend to like that. And I kind of like darker, more masculine scents too, stuff that maybe smells like leather or tobacco or something a little bit. Because some of it, they put tobacco and stuff in some of those too.
It's holding now.
Yeah, okay.
So that's what it was.
So that's all.
Yeah, I couldn't be signed. It wouldn't let me. For some reason, there wasn't enough data, or the feed wasn't enough bandwidth in the feed to be signed in and do it.
Do it at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, at least you figured it out.
The imagery is good.
Okay. So I guess that's all it was. You were just signed in under the account.
Yeah.
Like I said, so just don't worry about it. You just can't.
You guys will see me.
You'll just be under your own account.
Yeah.
Instead of the 13 o'clock account. Because we both have access to the 13 o'clock YouTube account. So sometimes if I comment on videos or... But he's usually signed in on the live stream. So if it says 13 o'clock, that's him.
You'll see it says, "This is me."
Yeah. I mean, obviously it says Tom 13
Yeah,
o'clock.
I'm a moderator too on this account. So.
Yeah, there you go. So so it's fine. So you can kick somebody off.
Yeah.
Although we don't have problems anymore.
Very rarely.
With people. Because normally, like, if anybody comes in causing trouble, they either get kicked out right away or everyone just ignores them, which is the way to go.
The main problem was, remember, we used to get spam.
Yeah, that happened for a while. Yeah, that doesn't really happen anymore.
Yeah.
Of course, I say that, and then it's going to do it later. CB says, I put liquid ass in my girlfriend's perfume for a prank. She smelled of shit for 2 days.
Oh, come on.
Why? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Because it's like, that's bad for you, too. Unless you really like smelling shit.
He's a pervert.
That's a terrible prank to play on somebody. I would be so mad if somebody did that to me. I might smother you in your sleep. Zach says, speaking of patchouli, I'm assuming these are related. I mean, you're probably assuming correctly. Would you say Stevie Nicks is a goth icon?
No.
Tangentially, I guess.
Yeah.
I think the Stevie Nicks goth thing it came from her fashion sense and stuff, but I think a lot of it came from that Gypsy 83 movie.
Yeah.
Where that girl who was super goth in it, and she was like obsessed with Stevie
Nicks wasn't goth.
No.
She had kind of like a medieval kind of feel to her, like a white witch or something, you know what I mean? She had that kind of stuff, kind of like a Wiccan. Like a white Wiccan kind of, but not gothic.
Yeah, so I would say more like Renaissance-y, like maybe dark hippie, kind of thing. Like there's a little bit of crossover. I don't have any truck with Fleetwood Mac. I actually quite like them, and I like Stevie Nicks' solo stuff also.
She's a great vocalist.
She is, yeah.
Yeah.
So I always like their stuff. So, Tanya says, I loved the Body Shop's White Musk. It wasn't too sweet. Yeah, I remember that smelling really good.
Yeah, one of my exes wore it.
Yeah, we used to, we were in the Body Shop, because there's I don't remember if it's a Body Shop or if it's another thing like that's by the movie theater in the Books A Million at that mall we go to.
The problem is, I think the Body Shop White Musk of today is weaker than the stuff of the 90s. Of the 90s, I remembered it had good staying power. But I remember, didn't I get you some or I got somebody else some? I don't remember.
I don't think I've ever had any. I like how it smells, though. Because I remember we were in the store, like, sampling a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. And it's cheaper than it used to be, and it doesn't smell as good. And doesn't have the longevity that it used to have. But I guess it wasn't Jen I gave it to. It must have been Tiff.
No, you didn't give it to me.
I think maybe I gave Tiff some.
Yeah, the only perfume you ever got me was that Jimmy Choo.
Yeah.
So, and we kind of talked about that, and I think we were in the Body Shop like before that.
Yeah.
Because we were seeing if there was anything in there, like what it's kind of stuff I liked in there. I like stuff that smells like roses too. Yeah. Like I like rose smell.
That would have been late '90s when I gave it to Tiff. So, but I first smelled it like fucking '94.
Yeah.
About when I first started smelling it. It was okay. Yeah, it was good. What?
CB said Jenny perfume was first invented to get rid of bad smells after going to the toilet for the upper classes and used for armpits. Yeah, because they didn't fucking bathe. I mean,
they just threw sewage out the window.
Gardy Lou. But but yeah, that's I was like, well, if you just bathed, you probably wouldn't have this problem instead of having to cover up your stank, like just with a more potent stank.
No, it still wouldn't work.
No,
they wore a shit ton of clothing.
Yeah,
the women didn't shave their underarms. Neither did the men. They only washed their underclothing, not the outer garments. They didn't wash those as regularly. The soaps that they were using didn't have a pleasant smell. It would have been like lard.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Ew.
Something based in lard. Probably not even scented for most people. So no, they'd get out of the bathtub just smelling whatever. And there was no deodorant.
Yeah.
So within a few hours, they'd fucking, with all that fucking underarm hair, they'd be fucking stinking.
Yeah, everybody was...
And then they'd pile clothes on, trying to hide the stink, probably. Well, I don't think they smelled it, though. I actually don't think they smelled it.
Well, probably everybody stank.
Yeah, they just thought that was normal.
And there was, like, sewage in the street and shit like that. So it's like, it probably just smelled so bad that your nose just, like, went, nope, after a while. I'm just turning myself off. Thank you.
Richer people could afford fragrance. They'd add fragrance. They probably didn't even put the fragrance on themselves. They probably put it on their clothes. Because there wasn't any exposed skin for a lot of the rich people, you know. I guess some of the women, you know, fucking the bust and the
décolletage.
And the fucking neck and shit. Maybe they had some there, but sanitation wasn't as good and hygiene wasn't as good.
It wasn't good at all, really.
Wasn't good really until the 1900s.
At all, so, you know.
Depending on where you live, the more urban you were, the dirtier you were. If you were in a country setting here in the United States, at least you had fresh water you could bathe in.
Yeah.
A stream, or you could pull water out of a well, heat that up, and do a fucking sponge bath. But there were places in New York City back in the 1800s where there was no fresh water. All water was fucking nasty. Even water piped in. It was just infested with eels. Fucking raw sewage was in it.
Yeah, it was a gross ass time.
Yeah. So you couldn't drink that water.
No.
People would try and they'd just get sick. Out of desperation, they'd drink it. They'd get sick. Could kill you.
Well, yeah.
So people drank alcohol. It was a lot safer.
Yep.
Yeah. Especially if it was distilled. Distilled alcohol purifies itself. And you know, you can make shit that's kind of like vodka or whiskey with dirty water. And the distillation process purifies you're going to get pure alcohol out of that.
Yeah.
So
you're purifying your insides. Alcohol is good for you.
Alcohol.
Citation needed.
Whiskeys and vodkas and that kind of gins would have been the safest thing you could drink.
Yep.
In Europe back in those days. Up until the fucking 1900s. Up until like 1930.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably when it got better. Probably wasn't still all that good, but better.
And like I said, better than the foul ass water.
Yeah. And what is undoubtedly better is wine. Old fashioned wine fucking sucked. And most of that shit would get fucking putrid in the bottle before it was served and turned into vinegar and shit, because the insides of the bottles weren't, on an average brands, the cleaning was spotty. Only really good brands of wine, real expensive shit, would end up being wine and tasting like wine and be safe to drink. A lot of the other shit was cheap shit, wasn't very old. It was, you know, a few weeks old maybe. You know what I mean? More like fucking fermented grape juice.
Yeah.
And if you let it sit, it would just turn into fucking vinegar. If you were to take a king from the 1800s, 1700s maybe, that's a better one, and before, and take him to Walmart and get him some boxed wine, Merlot, he would think that was the best wine he had ever had in his fucking life, that cheap-ass boxed wine. Because that's better than any of that shit they were making prior to the 1800s.
Yeah, and then you could microwave him some chicken nuggets, and it would blow his fucking mind.
Yeah, give him chicken nuggets. Like, God damn,
the barbecue sauce on there.
Yeah.
Get him a Big Mac.
Beer and wine were bad a lot of times. They'd go rancid and sour. They didn't have a long shelf life. You couldn't ship it around. It's because the bottles weren't sterilized. They didn't really know how to do that properly. They didn't have the equipment to do it en masse. So they just made the beer and served it immediately before it went bad. And they were kind of doing that with wine.
Yeah. Zach says, if I made a perfume, it'd probably smell like barbecue sauce, weed, man musk, and mint. Someone would buy that. Actually, probably a lot of people would buy that. They had a bacon one for a while. You know? Full Metal says, my manager used to talk about his colognes, Ferrari and Sex Panther. I can imagine exactly the type of person that manager is saying shit like that.
Cam got us in that wine is sterile. But the thing is the wine, old-fashioned wine, was not sterile. The bottle that they put it in fucking was usually dirty. So it would go bad. Unless it was a really, really good brand. But it still wouldn't have been comparable to today. Because they had failure rates on even good brands of wine in the fucking 17 and 1800s. You know?
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Like 30% of it would fucking be bad when you open it.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust it.
Yeah.
That's why I would never. If I had a time machine, I would never fucking go back.
Yeah. It wasn't until much later that they fucking had mass-produced bottles and the ability to sterilize them and to fucking package shit properly. That was late 1800s, early 1900s, and even in the even in the late 1800s, man, fucking canned meat would come out of the can fucking rotten.
Yeah,
that was real common in the 1800s because it just shit wasn't done right.
They didn't know what they were doing.
They didn't know what they were doing. The tin cans were fucking held together and kind of soldered together with lead. Lead would get in there and it would be porous. And the seals would break and shit would get inside the can and rotten. So you'd open up a can and it'd be rotten meat in it. Or half rancid. Some of the shit was rancid when it went in. Because they're processing fucking rotten cows with fresh cows in the same fucking factory.
Because why not?
Fat. They were like, well, they won't notice.
Whatever.
It's because most people were buying that canned shit and eating it within a few days.
It probably won't kill anybody.
Yeah.
And even if it does, you know what I mean?
So I'm not saying that
they really didn't give a crap.
Wine is dangerous. I'm saying that old-fashioned wine was stored in dirty bottles.
Well,
by the time you got it, it was fucked up.
Old-fashioned everything.
Yeah, old-fashioned everything
was fucked up. Like I said,
yeah.
I can't imagine like how shitty the food was and how shitty everything was back then. You know what I mean? Because they just didn't have any standards. They didn't have any safety standards. They did not give one single fuck. You know? They had to make them give a fuck, I guess, because they're just like, whatever. These idiots will buy it. They don't care what we put in there. Zach says, when I was a kid, I saw a made-up perfume in a cartoon called Crankshaft, and the bottle looked like an 18-wheeler gear shit. They should make that for real. Okay, it was Crankshaft number 5 specifically. That's awesome. Did it kind of smell like motor oil? Because I'd be kind of... I feel like, is there a perfume that has like gasoline smell to it? There's gotta be. I kind of feel like, ooh, you know what? That would have been, remember when Mad Max Fury Road came out? Or even when Furiosa came out? That would have been a really good, like, kind of marketing thing to go along with that, was like do like a cologne or a perfume or whatever that kind of smelled like motor oil, like a metallic kind of, like, it still smelled kind of good, but and had like a gasoline kind of smell and like maybe some kind of flame kind of smell. That would have been so cool. I would have loved to like design the box and the bottle for that. Because I kind of feel like there's so much niche marketing nowadays. There's got to be a fucking cologne like that. There's got to be. That smells like fucking motor oil or something. Or gasoline. Tanya says, I love Midnight Fantasy by Britney Spears. It smells like a hooker in a candy store. That's an intriguing description. I might have to... Like I said, I know... What?
Camp Guy mentions that nowadays the wine and all the wine in the wine industry, the bottles and all the utensils are washed like fucking 3 times. Yeah.
Yeah, they wash the shit out of it.
Back then, they didn't even have a concept of that.
They're like, what?
It looks good to me. It's not dirty.
Yeah, it's like, see, there's nothing floating in there. Yeah. I mean, there's not much floating in there.
They didn't know what germs were. That's another thing. Germs were a theory. Like in the 1800s.
We can't see them, therefore they don't exist.
Yeah. And they would do shit like in certain poor areas and places where fucking industries were, there were fucking horse-drawn carts everywhere and high traffic zones. And the horses would shit on the ground.
Yeah.
They would just get pushed over the side and never really get cleaned up in some cities. They'd start to dry, turn into dust. And then people would throw chamber pots on the fucking piles of horse shit.
Because why not? There's already shit, we'll just add more shit.
Pots. So now...
What's the difference?
When it dries, when it's drying up, little particles, dust of fucking horse and human shit fucking are blowing around, and all that shit goes in the road, And
Fecal
a fucking carriage
molecules.
carrying a bunch of empty fucking wine bottles without corks on them goes through that fucking cloud.
And yep.
All kinds of shit would happen, and then they pack that shit with wine. Looks clean to me. They just, it was just how things looked, because they didn't have microscopes.
'Cause look,
some
man,
people had them, but they didn't believe in germs.
That's
They
hilarious.
thought it was just smells that got you sick. Miasma.
Yeah.
So if it just smelled okay and it looked okay, then you couldn't get sick.
Then it was okay. You couldn't get sick. It must have been something else.
Yeah.
Which is bafflingly stupid, but I guess they didn't.
Yeah,
know
so they were
anything.
spreading fucking typhus and fucking... What's the other ones that they would get? They would get typhus. They would get botulism.
Yeah.
Uh,
Pretty much anything you can get, they would get it.
They would get E. coli.
Yeah. I don't even know if they named it, if it was
Yeah,
named
E.
that
coli,
back
because
then.
most people didn't have toilet paper.
Yeah.
So they just kind of fucking wipe shit with their hands. And then went right back to work and started touching stuff.
Even
Would've been
fucking
wiping off
animals don't do that.
Yeah, they just wipe it on a rag, wipe their hand off on a rag.
Humans
go
were
back
a
to work, they're
mistake.
touching. They're gonna give you fucking E. coli poisoning.
Humans were a mistake.
It was just the thinking of the time. Oh, I washed them. See, I rubbed them off in the hand. It's clean. They didn't have.
Yeah.
There was no concept of microbiology.
No. Shit, man. It's like if I touch something that touched something dirty, I'm like, ew, ew, ew. Like, I have to wash my fucking hand. You know what I mean? I can't fathom people that would just go around and just fucking stink clouds and it's just like, hey,
Yeah.
there's shit all over the street. Oh, it's fine. What the fuck? It's not fine. It's like it's on your food, like you're eating food that flies have been sitting on and shit like that. Fuck that.
New York and Chicago.
Gross.
Early New York and Chicago had irrigation systems to bring water to the buildings and all the houses. But they didn't know how to fucking plan any of that. There was no filtration. So the water would come in and just go down through channels and underground ducts. And there wasn't any filtration, so a fish could get in it. An eel could get in that water. Things could live in cisterns underneath the ground inside that water. Eels would fucking swim down pipes and clog up your fucking pipe. Because they didn't put a grating and fucking, they didn't have, the grating should get smaller and smaller and smaller as the incoming water to filter shit out. Eventually it should go through like charcoals. That would fucking filter a lot of it too. It wasn't any of that. It was just water directly in. And people would turn on a spigot and no water would come out. Maybe a week later they turn on a spigot and there's water. But it's flowing bad. You taste it and it tastes terrible. Well, that's because there's about 30 fucking eels fucking clogged up that fucking pipe and they're rotting now.
Yeah.
So you're drinking rotten eel water.
Rotten eel water. Mm-mm.
And then they get sick and you had no idea why. It's because all the fucking little pipes were clogged up with eels. And fish and shit that were swimming down in there because they just let fresh water come right in, didn't filter it.
Yeah.
It just went out through the system.
Honestly, I read a book a while back called The Ghost Map. I still have it. And it was about how they figured out where, was it dysentery? I can't remember, but it was one of the diseases that you get from drinking, shit-filled water.
Typhus.
I don't think it was typhus, though. I think it was something else.
Okay.
It was either dysentery or...
Dysentery can do that, yeah.
Or whatever the other one was. I'll think of it in a minute. I haven't had that much drink, seriously, but I still can't think of it. And the dude that finally figured it out, hey, everybody's getting... Because they call it the ghost map because the dude that figured out where the disease was coming from and what was causing it, he noticed, how the disease traveled around this city. And it would just be a whole household of people would get it. And, he tracked it, and then he figured it out, he narrowed it down to, this one water spigot and this one water spigot. He's like, well, obviously there's crap in this water that you guys are drinking. And nobody believed him because of that. Because it's well, it looks clean.
Yeah, you crazy.
They didn't understand germs. They thought he was insane.
Yeah.
That he was saying, oh, well, there's microorganisms in there. Or, he didn't use that word, obviously. But he's like, there must be, something in there that's making people sick that we can't see, and everyone thought he was crazy.
Well, think about it. You know what a pistol is and somebody shooting at you with bullets. You can see that. That's a danger. You know what a lion is. You can see a lion eating you. That's a threat. The idea of something being so small you can't see it being a threat to you, it can't be.
Yeah.
Can't be. It's too little. If it's
can
there,
be.
it's too little. They're saying that
it can fuck you up.
If there are these little creatures and they're so little, they couldn't hurt you. That's what they're thinking. Because you can't see them.
I would direct you to the show Monsters Inside Me, if that's still on.
Yeah.
But you can probably watch reruns. That whole entire show is about, it's mostly diseases, but some of it is just like, hey, I accidentally swallowed this tiny little, like, bristle from a grill brush, and it completely poked holes in my fucking digestive system, and I was barfing up shit. And I was like...
Because you got a metal wire bristle stuck in your intestine.
I was like, great, and another thing to be
the
afraid of.
Shit can't go out, so it has to go somewhere. It's coming out of your mouth.
Yeah.
That's like some shit out of South Park.
I mean, the guy was okay. Like, after a while, they did fix it.
Yeah.
But, man, it was a tiny, literally, it was a tiny little... It was like in a burger.
It was
like
a metal bristle.
He was at a barbecue, and there was a bristle in there from the grill brush, and he didn't see it because it was in the meat, and then he just started having horrible stomach problems and digestive problems and stuff, and they figured out that this thing had gone and like perforated like a bunch of holes, like all over his fucking stomach and intestines, and I'm like, great, that's awesome.
I was watching a show today that was kind of. They were using some of the shit that's happened recently in fucking the news and stuff to kind of support the idea that we're getting in like their civilization, Western civilization is becoming kind of real dysgenic. The birth rate's gone down. The people that are being produced are only good for a super high-tech civilization. Technology's moving forward and it's getting more advanced and more complicated. But the very basic, simple shit that you need to run a civilization, there's not enough educated people in how to manage that. And you know, he was just I can't really. I had to go back and see it again. I had a problem. What he was talking about is he's saying that it's becoming kind of like the movie Idiocracy, where you're going to have people that should be like a doctor. They have the degrees of a doctor. But they actually didn't learn anything or very much in the school where they got their doctorate. It was kind of like a fake degree. And they would be using like AI like to fucking help diagnose a patient. So they're not really doing it. AI is doing it. They just said that fucking AI is going to change a lot of fucking things about the entire economy and education. Because AI can eliminate the need for doctors. Not surgeons, but doctors. Eventually, the robots can do surgery. Probably better than any human. You're not going to need doctors, and you're not going to need lawyers. They say AI can fucking go through law and write legal writs that are like fucking class A. And that's really going to fuck up society. All your educated people are going to be out of work. They're going to be useless. They're obsolete. All the money's going to be in, can you fucking build a house? Can you pour concrete? Things that robots can't do. And then they're probably going to make robots that can do that. Or nanites that can do it. That'd be weird. Just pour out a bunch of nanites on the ground and a house grows out of the earth. Where it's fucking rearranging molecules to make fucking steel and fucking wood and shit. But it's just kind of scary what's happening right now with just technology and society, how it's all unfolding. I don't think we can predict it.
No, I don't worry about it.
Yeah, just keep an eye out for it, but it's going to be highly unpredictable.
Yeah, it's like no one's going to know what's going to happen because, like I said, life throws curveballs like all the time, so it's like there's no point worrying about it. I got enough fucking shit to worry about in my immediate life, you know what I mean? Without worrying about shit like that.
But the system is getting more complicated and more fragile. Like all the power outages in Spain and shit. That's a good. We have power outages here. I remember we were having power outages in like fucking 2006. Remember that most of the Northeast had a power outage. Probably 2006 maybe. It was out for a few days. They never did quite explain what happened. And parts of California are constantly having power outages because they just don't have any fucking the money and the people to fucking run a power grid. Which is, you could do that shit back in the fucking 50s, no problem, but not now.
CB said there's a guy at the fetish bar that makes perfume and has made one that smells like feet. for the guys who have foot fetish.
That's
We'll
horrible.
see. I mean, well, some people would buy that though.
Yeah.
See, and I mean, I feel like for a time there was like kind of stunt perfumes where they were making ones that kind of smelled weird or, you know, something like that. Because wasn't there a fast food restaurant? Was it Burger King? I want to say it was Burger King, but I feel like Burger King did a perfume. Was it KFC? I'm pretty sure it was Burger King. I don't know what it smelled like though. And Camp Guy's talking about horse manure. Yeah, Tom knows all about that because he has been around horses his whole life. His mom is actually a horse trainer. She's mostly retired now, but she was actually one of the best horse trainers in the area. And so he grew up around horses. And actually, when I met him, he was working at a barn, like taking care of this doctor and his family. Like they lived on this big, you know, estate or whatever, and he had a bunch of horses, and he hired Tom to like take care of them. So he would go in there and clean the stalls and put him out, you know, and ride him around and shit like that. So yeah, it actually doesn't, and I would go with him sometimes to help out. And you're right, like horse poop doesn't actually smell that bad. Because Camp Guy is saying horse manure is some of the cleanest poop, pure grass and corn vegetation. Anybody that works with horses will tell you it's not that big a deal if you get it cleaned up. Doesn't even smell that bad. Yeah, it really doesn't. I mean, if you let it pile up, obviously, just like anything else. But like I said, you used to.
Yeah, I grew up in the horse industry.
Yeah, because he's
the
been
thing
around
is,
horses.
though, it wasn't exactly what I was talking about. It used to be that horse shit was everywhere. And then people would throw fucking their human piss and shit on top of it.
Yeah.
In those cities, because there was horse-drawn fucking wagons everywhere.
Yeah.
And then that shit would end up drying up and fucking breaking up, making dust. And that was a vector. So the horse shit was a vector of disease. It didn't cause disease itself. It was the bacteria that was on it, because they were throwing human waste on top of it.
Yeah.
Victor comes in with his normal fucking shit. Yeah, they did explain the power outage. Yeah, later though. And who knows if they told the truth. I don't fucking trust authority. They just don't want to get sued for something they did.
Tanya says, did you know the chainsaw was actually made for childbirth? It was pretty wild back then. I had heard that.
Yeah.
I mean, that wouldn't shock me if it was true, honestly. Klaus says, am I blocked? No.
Yeah.
You're all right. Hi, by the way. Yeah, you're not blocked. We can see all your stuff. We can see all your stuff. I'm just trying to... I get behind, like, on all the comments, you know what I mean? Let's see.
You're talking about... Victor's talking about the great brain drain. Yeah, it's not just the great brain drain. It's just that universities became scamified. To get a decent job, you'd have to have a degree. Any kind of degree. So they just fucking make these fucking just ridiculous fucking degrees. But then you couldn't get a job with them anyway. And they knew that would happen, but they had their friends hooked up with the government and the banking system that they'd make money on all those college loans. They knew what they were doing. It's just a scam. You don't need that many educated people, especially now. Now that you have technology and fucking AI. Like I say, you need intelligent people. It's just that the intelligent people you have now are being educated in things that aren't useful. The system's moving away from that. Like you're talking about medicine. You think, oh man, being a doctor would be great. In the United States, there's a good reputation for being a doctor, that you make money. But let's say, compared to Russia, doctors are poor in Russia. It's not highly valued. Here, it will also become very devalued when AI and robots take over surgeries and doctors. It'll be like that thing out of that movie Prometheus, where you just get into a damn bed and it closes up and all these fucking robotic arms come out and fucking inject you with shit. Fucking,
that'd be pretty awesome.
They can do microsurgery on you, you know what I mean? And you're in there, and then you
just
come
have a
out.
pod
And
in your
you're
house.
okay. You're okay now. Get the fuck out of the booth. And you go, okay, all right, I'm going. Yeah, it'll be like that.
When I saw that in the movie, I was like, I want one of those.
Yeah, recently, like last year or so, somebody said that they basically have the technology to do that right now. That they have everything that it takes. Just somebody has to.
I'll wait till they work all the kinks out.
I said it just has, and fucking AI is like doubling its power every 6 months right now. That's fucking scary. Doubling every 6 months. Wow. Fuck. That's a tremendous growth. That means in 5 years from now, fucking, you're gonna have sentient machines probably, or damn near sentience. You wouldn't be able to tell the difference. It wouldn't matter at that point.
Like
it
I
would
said,
be generalized intelligence.
I don't think it's going to go the way anybody expects it to, so I don't really worry about it.
Well, you can always just look at how it's going now, and you can extrapolate that out into the future.
Yeah,
it's doubling.
But the thing about it is that that's how science fiction writers work, and a lot of them get it wrong.
Yeah, well.
So, you know what I mean?
Well, you don't think there's going to be robotic doctors? I do.
Oh, yeah. There probably will be.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that there might be things that we don't expect, or outcomes that we don't expect, just because, shit happens.
That's gonna be a huge factor right there. The medical industry is going to be fucking heavily hit by that. You'll just have companies that'll make them damn beds. It's fully... And they're all talking to each other, all learning from one another. They're all like in a network. And those things will fucking outperform any medical industry or medical universities. These fucking robot fucking surgery beds. They'll have the whole human figured out fucking within a decade of them working. And they'd be safe to fucking go into them as soon as they're ready. They'd be safe to go in there, have your appendix taken out, fucking heart surgery, little shit like that. That's, well, little shit, but shit that's people been doing for a long time. Routine shit. Yeah, that robot will do it. And you won't even have to deal with a human, probably. You just go to a place that looks like a fucking laundromat or something.
That sounds nice.
Or a gym. And you go, something's wrong with me here. Swipe my card to come back and get in there, and it does an entire CAT scan or cellular waves to fucking scan your body. It comes back, yeah, you got a bad heart valve. You want to go ahead and fix that now? Okay, swipe your card. $1,000, maybe even $500.
You want any add-ons?
Yeah, add-ons. Yeah.
Do you want me to change? You want me to change your air filter?
Yeah. You want me to go ahead and put in some breast implants? You want me to go ahead
while I'm in there?
And you got some cancer over here. You want me to cut that out? And here's the thing: it'll be cheap because there's not human labor. It's just going to be the cost of the fucking whatever materials they use, which usually aren't that expensive, and then just upkeep of the fucking company that's doing it. It probably won't. It probably will get pretty cost competitive. I'd imagine some of them would just do shit like cosmetic surgery.
Yeah, they probably have different specialties, I'd imagine.
Yeah, you go up and it's a generalized bed. It can do anything. But you go in there and you fucking talk to. He says, "No, I'm just looking for cosmetic surgery." And it goes, "Oh, okay." And it switches over to another menu because they'd all be the same robot, and you might get specials. Yeah, we'll do fucking facelift. We're gonna do fucking, breast implants, this and that. It's asking what size do you want. It's showing you a whole fucking virtual reality, fucking AI generated image of what you're gonna look like when it's done, and then it's gonna give you a price. You know what I mean? And you probably won't be able to negotiate the price because they're all interconnected. All those machines that would know the quota. You know what I mean? Now we know how much it's gonna cost. Okay, swipe your card. Buy the shit on credit. They give you a line of credit and everything. Jump in that thing and fucking a couple hours later, you're fucking, maybe even only an hour later, fucking your people are fucking helping you out of that bed, fucking throwing you in the car and driving you home. I totally foresee that within my lifetime.
Yeah, the Full Metal said it was BK that had the flame broiled perfume. That's what I knew. I wasn't crazy. I knew I wasn't imagining that. So I did kind of remember it right. He also says, do y'all remember the Tom Selleck and Gene Simmons movie Runaway? Yes, we reviewed it, actually. Probably, it was a while back that we reviewed it, right? A couple of years back.
Yeah. John Gores goes, my penis taken out? It would not surprise me. Why not? A bed like that probably could do a whole surgery like that. Well, here's the thing, though, is like, you got to regrow material and everything to make a fake penis and shit. Well, you're taking a penis off, but some of that shit they probably can do. You have a dude who's, trans, and he just wants to do the top surgery. I don't think the robot would care what kind of customer, what gender the customer was. Okay, yeah, we'll give you some titties, because what would it matter to the robot?
The robot wouldn't care.
No.
Yeah, Full Metal says plastic surgery like in Logan's Run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's going to go like that.
If you actually look at Logan's Run, most of that technology in that movie, we got that shit beat by a mile.
Yeah.
The only thing we don't have is the anti-gravity. But our AI is better now than the AI that was running that city.
Well, it's funny because a lot of sci-fi movies from back in the day, they got a lot of shit wrong, but it's interesting what they got wrong. Like, because I kind of feel like in the 50s, all the movies were like, oh, we're going to be living on the moon. And it's like, we don't have that, but nobody predicted having an entire, like, supercomputer in your pocket.
Yeah, no.
Or like, a whole interconnected, nobody predicted the internet, really.
No.
I guess Orson Scott Card kind of did. Like, he talked about something that was sort of like the internet, but, you know what I mean? So I don't think it was...
I think in the old 30s movie Shape of Things to Come, they show television. People talking through boxes and people seeing it. And then the person asked, if I remember correctly, one of the persons asked the person on the television screen a question, and they heard it and answered. It's kind of like internet.
Sort of, yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
But it was kind of unrealistic because the person was addressing a multitude. And one person asked a question and they heard it, if I remember correctly. And he answers, and it was a woman. She answers the question on live TV for everybody. That was weird. That's kind of like internet.
Yeah, sort of.
It was like a Zoom call.
Yeah.
Nationwide Zoom call.
But, it's funny because they dreamed too big in some regards, but not big enough in other regards.
Well, look at the Star Trek. Look at the Star Trek communicator.
Yeah.
That ain't shit compared to today.
Yeah, it's like it seemed like super cool back then. Yeah. It's like, woo, look how high tech. But it's like, yeah, that's like that's like pretty it's pretty low tech, like by our standards. But but they had like fucking starships and we're going in a different fucking had warp drive and all that kind of shit too. Camp Guy said lots of folks will die out from lack of meaningful lives. Maybe so. I mean, I don't know. I've always been a big advocate of finding your own meaning because I don't think people's lives inherently have meaning unless you give it meaning.
Yeah, by 2004, the Star Trek communicator wouldn't have been shit. Because the communicator didn't even have a screen on it, and didn't have any data abilities. You couldn't order something off of it.
Sorry, I was just thinking about
a modern phone today is the communicator, the tricorder, and the Android data all combined in this, and they never imagined that even in the 90s on Star Trek Next Generation.
Yeah.
The closest thing to the internet that they thought of would be like the Borg.
Yeah.
People all interconnected through technology.
And it's not exactly the same. But
not exactly the same, but it's kind of what they were talking about. Everybody hooked in together on a social media. They all knew what everybody else knew. That type of shit.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm pretty sure most people did not predict anything like that. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, if you had extrapolated from shit that was going on at the time, we would have been living on the moon by 1980 or whatever the hell. But they neglected to look forward in other aspects, I guess. Like, they were just concerned about, like, space travel and stuff. And I guess, it's sci-fi, but they didn't really take into account just kind of the everyday effect on people's lives, I suppose. I was just, like, I was laughing because I was thinking of Eddie Izzard talking about he's like talking about Star Trek and he's like, those doors that went shoo, shoo, we have those now. He's like, that's about it. Yeah, so like a lot of the stuff on Star Trek we didn't really get. I wanted the thing that made all the food and stuff. What the hell was that thing? The thing that made all the food in Star Trek?
Replicator.
The replicator, yeah. I want one of those.
Yeah,
which I guess, we have 3D printers, and they can make, in some applications, you can make, like, organic material in those, but, so I guess it's kind of similar, but, I don't know. I wanted a transporter. That's what I wanted. Somebody needs to make a fucking transporter. That would be so fucking awesome. It's like you would have no need for like cars or planes or anything. Like, or you could just be wherever you wanted, like instantly. That would be so fucking rad. It's like, That's what it's. When I saw Star Trek as a kid, I'm just like, we need to get on that. Somebody needs to invent that. But no. And not like the one that was in The Fly. Because that would be bad. But yeah, fucking transporter. That'd be fucking rad. That's what I want. High just said, I would like the holodeck. We all know people would just use it for porn. Yeah, I feel like it would just be all porn. Just like the internet is almost all porn.
I think that's what they were doing with it. I mean, they were playing. They had some whole episodes involved in it where they were doing like Sherlock Holmes stuff, and that's probably what it was.
Yeah, Hedda said unless the transporter malfunctioned, like in the first Star Trek movie, that was horrific to watch as a kid. Yeah, it's like I could see if it went wrong, it would go horribly, horribly wrong. But it seemed like they had mostly got all the kinks ironed out, you know, by that point.
Cam guys talking about how much those fucking CAT scans and CT scans are. They're ridiculous, and they do work. But I've heard people fucking talk about that shit, and they say that there's an element of fucking grift in that. Those machines are expensive to make, but they say that there's a fucking cheaper way to do it with a fucking cell phone. That it's plausible that a cell phone could emit cellular waves, like we have here, that can go through a human body and through. I don't know. I don't really understand it because I'm not a scientist, but that can be used to image the internal structure of the body. Now, it'd probably take a long time for them to get the resolution that you might need, but that was one of the things that they were talking about, is that it could be that you might be able to make an app for a phone that'll scan you well enough to where an AI program that's a doctor could fucking spot a problem in you and go, hey, wait a minute, we think this is cancer right here. You're going to have to go get this checked out. And I can envision that eventually you have something like a cell phone that could give you an image of inside your body better than fucking any of these CAT scans. Probably just almost a damn perfect image. Because they say that the Wi-Fi emitter in your house, if you have Wi-Fi, that there's software out there that can use that emissions of those. Basically, they can use that Wi-Fi emitter to image the inside of your house and people where they are. I don't know how much resolution, but they said that that's one of the things that you can do with that, plausibly. It was supposed to be plausible. I don't know if they're actually doing that, but they said it'd be plausible you could do that. And then once, that would be that would be a tool that an intelligence agency or a government would want, because fucking Wi-Fi is everywhere, which means you could get an up-to-date live image of inside of a fucking any place you wanted to, that as long as there was an internet connection there. That's fucking spooky power right there.
Yeah, Oracle says they can print chicken now, but it's expensive. Yeah, I knew they had started like printing meat.
Yeah.
Because all you really need is the raw material. Like, it works the same way. So I think eventually that will get a lot. I would love to have a 3D printer, actually. I think it would be really useful.
I have no problem with 3D printed meat as long as it's nutritious and it's cheap.
Yeah, I'm not about it.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean,
I'd buy it.
Yeah, I mean, chemically, it's the same.
Yeah.
And they're not killing animals, so.
Well, it would be cheaper than housing the animal and slaughtering it.
Yeah.
The thing is that you can't have these, like, that vegetarian meat substitute, you know what I mean? Nobody's going to buy that if it's more expensive than beef.
Yeah.
You know, and
it's got to be.
It has to be much cheaper.
It's got to be cheaper.
Yeah. So if you're going to make 3D printed meat, it better be good, and it better be safe, and it better be fucking cheap.
Yeah, I would eat. I wouldn't. I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not bothered.
But I'd want real shit too eventually.
Yeah, I mean, you could have like real shit for.
But in the meantime, if you're just going up to fucking 7-Eleven and getting a fucking beef burrito, if that shit's jammed full of artificial fucking cubes of fake beef, but it's beef. Yeah, fucking right. Yeah, give me that $4 fucking burrito.
Yeah, the thing about it is
2 pounds of meat in it.
Is that like a lot of stuff with cheap meat, it has a lot of fillers in it anyways.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's a big difference, you know. It's not like that's like prime cuts or anything. That's like all the scraps.
Right.
Oracle says there's a Star Trek Lower Decks episode where they pretty much admit the holodeck is for porn, and the ensigns get a rotating duty for holodeck cleanup.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sure as soon as everybody saw that technology,
You're going to want to fuck, man.
they were just like, yeah, that would be exactly... Yeah, every now and then you might want to use it for something else, but come on now.
I remember there was a Next Generation episode where there was some loner guy, and he got busted for using some kind of hack where he had hacked into the holodeck to use images of women that he knew from the crew.
Yeah.
He got busted. I don't. Maybe I don't. I just vaguely remember that. If you guys know that episode, go ahead and fucking drop it in the comment section. I don't remember how in depth it went, but I remember that. I think that was one of the episodes that had Tasha Yar in it, and when she found out that dude was using her image, and I think Dr. Crusher, I think he was using her image too. And I remember them questioning him like, "Wait a minute, hold on, what are you doing with these images?"
He's like, "What do you think?"
In there, yeah, and he was just kind of a nerdy guy, and I don't remember what they did with him. I think they gave him some counseling. He was the center of that. He was like the main story of that episode, I think.
Here's the thing, like, that's kind of an interesting ethical question that they bring up on that, because it's like...
Yeah, can you use somebody's image?
Because he's not doing anything to them, the real person. On the other hand, it's still kind of creepy. Like, I would be kind of creeped out.
Yeah.
But, you know, I don't know. I would be creeped out if I thought...
Some creep has got a 3D...
Some creep has got, like, a 3D image of me and is, like, pretending to do stuff with me.
They were solid.
Yeah.
Because it was like... It was basically like the transporter or the replicator beaming a real person in there, but it's under the control of AI. Or at least a real 3D representation. I don't know if they had weight. I guess they did.
Yeah, I'm, like, really not sure. Because you'd really have to navigate where one people's rights stopped and where another person's rights began. Because it's kind of like, yeah, you can watch porn, and technically you're not violating that person's bodily autonomy because it's not really them.
Yeah.
It's just like a simulacrum of them.
Well, there's deep fake porn.
Well, I know that.
Yeah.
But like I said, on the other hand, you have to take into account that, like, the person who is being faked, they're kind of like, well, I don't really like it. It's like, that's me, and it's just like, I mean, it's not really me, but, you know, I'd still be weirded out. I don't think I'd be that bothered, but I can see how people would be really bothered, you know? So, and their feelings are kind of valid too, so I'm not really sure, like, where this shit would land on that. So that's kind of, like, interesting thing to bring up.
I kind of think that in the future, if you had that kind of technology, pervy dudes probably wouldn't give a shit about real women. They'd be fucking making out with AI women that were, like, just superb. Like these AI fucking images that you see on Instagram where that's not a real woman. But, boy, they sure do. They sure can make a representation of a woman moving, walking around. You know.
Yeah.
No women could actually be built that way, though. You know what I mean? But it took me a while to fucking realize it. You know, a few days. I was like, okay. And then I can now recognize it.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to put your finger on, but you kind of know it when you see it.
When you see it, you go, no, the lighting looks too good. The photography's too good. Her proportions are too fantasy proportions.
It's a little plastic.
That's not a real person because, it has kind of an artificial feel to it. You go, no woman is built like that, even if they use plastic surgery and hormones. They're not built like that. And they don't move like that.
There's kind of a weird, not so much to AI that's not supposed to be photorealistic, but a lot of the photorealistic AI, there's something of, like, a weird gloss to it. It's like too perfect looking.
That's what I was talking about. The supposedly realistic AI.
It's funny because I was trying to generate photos of, because I was doing these car ads where they wanted to do, like, discount for law enforcement and stuff. So I was trying to do images because I couldn't find any good images of cops on any of my services. And so I was like, well, maybe I'll see what AI comes up with and I'll see if they could generate one. But they all came out too good looking. They all looked like the cover of, like, a fucking romance novel. And I'm like, well, that's not going to work. It's like, so you have to put in stuff like you want them to look like a regular person. And even then, they still look like too good. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you really kind of have to Madlink says, you guys should do a deep dive into Gene Roddenberry. He made up all this tech that comes true decade after decade because he was hanging out with those in the know, like L. Ron Hubbard and his type. Yeah, that's true. That's true. CB's talking about AI, artificial intelligence, the movie that was Steven Spielberg and Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah.
Jude Law's character Gigolo Joe was a sex robot. Yeah, that's right. I saw that in the theater when it came out, and I remember kind of liking it, but then I was just kind of like, I always kind of wanted to rewatch it though, and I just never did.
Yeah.
We should probably review it one of these days. AI,
yeah.
The Stanley Kubrick / Steven Spielberg movie.
It was pretty. It was okay.
Yeah, I remember liking it. Okay, good. Like I didn't love it.
It was kind of ahead of its time in a way, because I remember when that came out, I hadn't fucking fully understood, or hadn't fully integrated with the idea of fucking wireless internet. You know.
Yeah.
And I was like, this Gigolo Joe dude, he's going around selling cock to all these fucking women and shit. Who's making the money?
Right.
Well, it was all online. She's basically swiping her card. It's going to the account to whoever owns him, whatever company owns him.
Right.
He didn't need money. He was just a fuck machine, walking fuck machine.
A walking fuck machine.
Yeah. So you paid him, but he didn't get the money.
If you're gonna have a walking fuck machine, early 2000s Jude Law would be a good one to have.
Yeah. He didn't need money. He didn't need.
Well, yeah, he was a robot.
He didn't need it. Yeah. And I guess if he ever needed to spend money, the company would pay it. And you could do all that shit wirelessly.
Yeah.
You didn't have to pay it with cash. You know? So I think that's what was happening. Because he was going into rented rooms. So that means the company must have paid for the room. And you wouldn't see it because he was a robot. He didn't have to pull out a cell phone and... You know what I mean? Sorry. Contacting things and swiping or fucking giving his credit card numbers. I mean, it would all be happening invisibly.
Well, yeah, he could just access just like, the later movies, like Companion and stuff like that. It's just all inherent because they have Wi-Fi capability.
Wi-Fi is just automatic in them.
Yeah.
So it was interesting, though, and I think that's actually what you're going to see.
Yeah.
You're going to see that. And you're going to see hotties fucking walking around trying to pull tricks. And it would be legal because it's not a human.
Right.
So even if prostitution was illegal in the area you're in, wouldn't apply to that person because that's not a person.
Right.
That's a machine. So you can get around prostitution, and you just pay it, and then you get a room. You have sex with that thing, and then the company that owns it makes the money.
Yeah.
Like calling it an Uber, but there's no person.
Yeah.
Be like that.
Or like going to a vending machine.
Like going to a vending machine.
That walks around.
Yeah.
And dispenses pussy. A pussy vending machine. Just like those dirty underwear ones like they have in Japan.
Well, I like that they focused on Gigolo Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Because they weren't neglecting the fact that women have needs too. And fucking women will fucking do outrageous shit. They just do outrageous shit on a normal basis. Especially if nobody's watching. Or if they're in an environment where it's approved of.
Yeah.
There's a whole series. There's a whole Czechoslovakian kind of porn series called fucking what is it, Party? I can't remember what it is. But what it is it's a it looks like a strip club. And male strippers come in, and there's probably 100, maybe 50 to 100 women in there. They all look good, great. And the guys are putting on shows, and they're kind of having sex with them in different ways. Sometimes it's just not really sex, but close. You know what I mean? Like they're giving dude a hand job and giving a blow job. And I can't remember the name of that series. But what it is it's a strip club. They've hired dancers and porn, and they look good. They're good. They're all jacked. These dudes. They've hired these male strippers. They have some porn stars thrown into that fucking crowd to instigate and to fucking fire up these girls. Right. Okay, the first ones to jump into it are the porn stars, and the rest of them are girls that fucking just took the invitation to go, and you get free alcohol, and I think they pay you if you show up, but you don't have to do anything, but they do stuff. I can't remember the name of that fucking series.
Yeah, I think in a lot of situations,
those dudes work those crowds of females up into a frenzy, and it's kind of like these girls are egging each other on.
Yeah.
To do shit that they normally wouldn't do.
Yeah, they would if they were just in.
Yeah.
If it was just them or like one friend, they would probably never ever do that in a million years. But if there's a whole bunch of other women there and like some other women are doing shit,
then they'll start doing shit.
And then they'll be like, oh, maybe I should do something too. Like they're trying to like fucking.
Yeah, the shit goes on for hours, and the videos are like in fucking like parts. Each part's be about an hour. They're not that, to me, I didn't think they were very erotic, but they were kind of interesting to see what women will do.
In certain situations.
Under those circumstances,
right.
Yeah. At least Czechoslovakian women. Now, they are kind of self-selected.
Yeah.
They knew they were going to a club filled with fucking hot stripper guys. They knew that they didn't have to pay to get in, and they were going to get free drinks.
And they were going to get free booze. So that's going to attract a certain kind of person.
And they only let in girls that look good. They didn't.
Yeah, so
you have
again,
to at least look good.
That is a very self-selecting group. Then.
Yes, and they had armbands on, and some girls didn't have armbands, and some girls had armbands that were different colors. And I was trying to figure out what the fuck was going on. The most common color, and it seemed to be different for each video or each event. The common color would be the color of the girls that were kind of like volunteered to go. The color that was different, the minority color, were the porn star girls. And then the ones that didn't have armbands at all worked there.
Okay.
Because I was looking at that in the comment section. Look at the armbands. So you could put it together what was happening. The porn star girls with the porn star armband were the ones that were firing up the fucking regulars.
Yeah.
The regulars off the street
to get
type
them
shit.
to see
to
what
get
they
them
would
to do shit to these dudes.
See if they would do something.
Yeah. Yeah. Monster Party? No, fucking I can't remember what it was. Something or other party. I'll go to the restroom.
Well, yeah, I did too, but I was waiting for you to stop.
I'm gonna go. Okay.
Okay. DVD Dragon said, I used to like a perfume that smelled like a truck stop bathroom sink. It was called Bird Bath. That's pretty funny. Yeah, that's probably not true, but I hope it's true. You know what I mean? Let me see. Yeah, Oracle says there are some states who outlaw sex toys, so that would probably be a problem. Yeah, I'm not really sure how that's going to apply. And I'm not really sure what states it is now. Like, I know when I had an Amazon store, that was, like, this is a few years ago. I had an Amazon store that sold sex toys, and they wouldn't ship to... I remember Alabama was one of them. So I don't know if Alabama still outlaws sex toys, but they did at that time because they wouldn't ship there. And I know that some states... I read the other day... I don't know if this is true or not, but I read the other day that Texas lets you have sex toys, but you can't have more than 6? Is that like... Having 6 dildos is okay, but having 7 dildos is somehow, like, degenerate? I don't understand that. I don't know if that's true or not. I just read that somewhere, and I was like, that is dumb as hell. But, that's, nobody's, like, all of these stupid, like, morality laws. But it's like, how the fuck would you even possibly enforce that? You know what I mean? How the fuck would you possibly enforce that? It's just, it's stupid as shit. If you really wanted one, like, even if you couldn't order it even from Amazon, like, in your state... Why don't you have a friend in another state, like, order one and just ship it to you, like, in a plain package? So nobody knows what it is. There you go. And then it's just in your house, hurting no one. It's just dumb as shit. It's like, it's a completely stupid law. It's completely stupid. All right. CB says, yeah, like in strip clubs, the pole is not for dancing. It's for the girls to hold on to stop the guys pulling them off the stage. I mean, probably true. Probably true. Zach says, it would be weird calling an Uber and there being no driver. Uber is how I met my ex. Well, I think eventually they will have just Ubers with no drivers. Which honestly is probably good because I don't know how widespread a problem it is. But Uber and Lyft and stuff had a big problem with drivers like sexually assaulting women that they picked up. Like the drivers would sexually assault women that they picked up. So, maybe no drivers is the way to go. Yeah. I always kind of feel like the less people you have to interact with in the course of the day, like, the better your day is. But, that's just me, I guess. I'm just not really a people person. So, like I said, The day they invented the internet and like email and stuff like that, I was like, fucking hallelujah, thank you. Now I don't have to call people on the phone anymore. I don't have to go talk to people face to face anymore. That's fucking rad. I love it. I love it. I love being able to do everything without having to actually talk to a human. Because fuck that. Fuck humans.
Well, the general public is kind of fucking...
Yeah, you know.
Although,
And it's up, you know, we know lots and lots of lovely people. I'm being facetious to a degree.
Florida's not that bad. Fucking, as long as you know where you're going and everything's cool, you know. But we can go downtown and there's usually no problems. And it's a mixed crowd. You know, it's not like, we're not saying like you got to avoid black people. We're not saying that. Fucking all my friends are black.
I mean, a lot of them are. So.
Yeah, from the club. They're all ex-military black dudes. So, and fucking our neighbors and shit. So, you know, we're just saying that some of the problems that we've dealt with are fucking white dudes grabbing our ass.
Well, yeah, it's always white dudes.
Fucking, they paid. I fucked them up. But, you know.
Every time I've had a problem in a club, it's always a white dude.
It's a white dude, yeah. Well, in that one particular case, he didn't realize that we were together.
But even so,
he was single, so he thought he could do it.
Even if I was single,
yeah,
don't do that.
Yeah, he got fucked up. Like he ran after I got done with
Like
him.
I thought they taught people in kindergarten like not to touch people randomly, but I guess not.
You're in Florida. That's part of it too. You're in Florida. It's party central of the world. One of the party centrals.
All right, now I have to pee. I'll just wait for you to come back so I can go pee.
Yeah, go ahead.
All that vodka.
He'll be all right. See what everybody's talking about. Oh shit, man, you guys. Let's see what we got. Oh shit, you guys are fucking way. Oracle's saying that some states outlaw sex toys, that'd be a problem. Oh, yeah, by the time all that shit's happened, that won't be around. I actually think Mississippi outlawed those. But that didn't affect anything. You could order them online. There wasn't really an enforcement in that. I remember when I living in Mississippi, they had some weird laws that were on the books that nobody followed. And that was one of them, actually. Although they had counties, what were called dry counties, where you couldn't have any. They wouldn't sell hard liquor. They had hard liquor, they just wouldn't sell it. People would go to other counties and buy them and bring them back. That was just some ridiculous shit. I think that's all gone now, though. What happened was. The generation that passed those laws in Mississippi died out. New people came in and like, what the fuck is all this? Why are they differentiating between hard liquor and fucking beer? It's all beer. It's all alcohol. But that wasn't even boomers. That was even pre-boomer thinking. And a lot of it was churches.
Yeah. Sticking their nose in where it doesn't belong.
Some of those Mississippi fucking, what do you call them, counties were dominated by a single church. Sometimes that happens.
They just want to make everyone as miserable as they are.
No, what they were trying to do is they were trying to chase all sinners out of their county. It's not that they're trying to make you miserable, they're trying to make you leave. So,
Well, I'm sure if people could afford it, they're like, yes, I would like to leave. I would very much like to leave. Because why the fuck would I want to live around you?
Well, a lot of them would. It's a very low population.
Assholes.
Although it didn't really make an impact because you could just go to another county. Because usually the counties that did that were dead. There wasn't even any bars there. There wasn't even any people.
Yeah, and who the fuck's going to stay in a hellhole like
nobody
that?
gave a shit. Yeah.
It's like, what, no booze?
Yeah. So
fuck
they're going to do
that.
that anyway.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
It's not like they had control of an area that had all these bars and all these cool people in it. No, they didn't have... No. There was nobody in it. It was mostly empty. Just church people.
I always wondered if those, like, all those church people, like, went home at night and there was, like, nothing to do and they're like, man, it's so boring around here.
No, what they would do is they would just go to other counties and other cities and party. Because religiosity and honesty don't go together in Mississippi.
They do. Well, they don't go together anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the more religious one is, generally, the more hypocritical one
Yeah.
is, I've found.
A real Bible thumper in Mississippi was just a virtue signaler. They didn't actually believe what they were saying. The woman that was standing up in church talking about all this fucking adultery and all these fucking slutty ass women and wearing their low cut dresses and all this, she's the one that's fucking everybody.
Well, yeah.
It's all this projection.
That's why the second
she's
that anybody starts talking about accusing other people of being PDF files and stuff, I'm like, check that man's hard drive.
Yeah.
Because nobody's worried about it as much as him.
Yeah.
So obviously,
she's the one that's fucking everybody's husband, and she's the one that was
right.
the slut in high school, and everybody in there knows it.
Like every single time, it's like a cliche.
She's trying to talk her way out of being the fucking town hoe. But that's what she was. She was the town hoe back when she was in high school.
Yeah.
Because they all grew up together. So.
It's just hilarious to me. It's like you'd think everybody would know that. And they're like, oh, like, listen to all this sanctimonious bullshit from the town bike.
No, they knew. No, everybody knew. They knew, but they would just go like, when they come from church. Imagine that bitch saying all that shit.
Yeah.
They were like, she sucked half the dicks in this fucking county.
Exactly.
They're like, yeah, she sucked my dick, fucking
like I said.
Times. So no, they knew.
Nobody worries as much about what other people are doing with their genitals than people that are doing fucked up shit with their genitals.
Yeah.
And they think everyone else is as fucked up as they are.
Yeah. Well, the one that's out there fucking saying we got to get rid of all this fucking alcohol, all this devil's fucking spirits and shit like that out of our county. That's the one that's fucking drunk all the time at the house.
Yep.
You know. But like I said, that generation's dead though. They're gone.
High Desert said in eastern Oklahoma there was a town called Henrietta. They made dancing in public illegal.
Yeah.
I think that was borrowed for the Footloose movie. Yeah, I think there were a couple little towns like that.
But look, man, those were towns and counties that had nothing but old people in them, and there wasn't anybody
that no one would ever want to go to.
Nobody would want to go there anyway.
If you happen to be cool and you were born there, you got the fuck out as quickly as you could.
Well, a lot of times those are old towns. There are no young people there. They've all gone. All the young people have left. You know?
Yeah.
That was like Heidelberg. There weren't any young people in Heidelberg where my dad lived. They're all gone. They all leave. And it's old people. There's no families having children there. It's just old people.
because like I said,
they're all old.
Why would you stay there?
Right.
High Desert said, I don't know why whiskey is so popular. It tastes like battery acid and paint thinner mixed together.
No, it depends on what whiskey it is, and you acquire a taste for it.
Yeah, it's not my favorite, but I actually quite like whiskey. I don't usually drink it straight. I usually mix it with something.
Generally. I like Scotch whiskey.
Generally Coke.
Yeah, I like Scotch whiskey. I like fucking Irish whiskey. Not so much Canadian and not so much American whiskeys. Although America does have some good whiskeys, but they're like boutique brand.
Yeah,
whiskeys.
They make some good alcohol here, but like a lot of the big mainstream brands that they sell, like are not.
Yeah,
good.
like Wild Turkey. Yeah, fucking.
I don't mind Jack Daniels. It's not great, but it's okay.
Flavored Jack Daniels is better.
I like the honey flavor.
Yeah, the honey flavor is pretty good. The apple flavor is pretty good.
Yeah, the apple is good. Toby always brings the apple. He at the old Barbarella that was in the pickleball place where they didn't have a liquor license. He would always bring the apple Jack Daniels in a flask.
Yeah.
So he'd always give us some. So I thought that was funny. Full Metal says, Jenny, I unfortunately learned that my great grandmother was the town hoe and cheated on my great grandfather constantly. Yeah, see, that's what I mean. It's like there was no time when people didn't do that. It's just they hid it better back then. Like, they didn't talk about it, I guess. You know? I was thinking about what you said about the fucking, the strip club video or whatever. Yeah. And it's funny because I was reading something that I don't remember where it was, like on Reddit or something. And it was just this whole brouhaha about, like a bachelorette party. And there was this girl and she was talking about, she'd gone to this bachelorette party and she's like, man, like all these chicks were there and these strippers came and like the chick that was gonna get married was like sucking the dude's dick and everything like that, and she's like, and she was like, fuck this, man, and she left, and they all got mad at her. Yeah. And then she was like asking, she's like, should I tell her fiance? Yeah. Like, cause that she did that?
No, I wouldn't say either.
And well, people were divided. I was like, I would kind of err on the side of, yeah, you should probably tell him because he should know what he's getting into. But you know, I don't know. It was just like this big fucking situation. And then I was thinking to myself, because when you were telling me about that video, I was like, I don't know if I could get drunk enough, because I've done crazy shit when I was drunk. But I'm not real into the male stripper thing. Like, it's very cheeseball to me. Yeah. And I think even if I was there with a bunch of other women and they were doing this and that, I'd be like, nah. Now, if it was female strippers, I might get crazy with that. Yeah. But male strippers, I'd probably be like, eh.
Okay, that's another thing. Those female fucking porn stars that have been planted into the crowd, start making out with those girls too.
Right. Okay. So see, I could get into that.
They're firing them up, and I don't think those girls knows that that other chick is a plant.
That's a plant. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'll show you the video. You might enjoy it. It's. Like I said, it's not fucking. I didn't really find it super erotic, but I found it as kind of interesting to see women being fucking stoked up into a frenzy inside these strip clubs. Now, like I said, those women were self-selected. They wanted to go to this strip club, eat and drink free booze, and it's a very much gynocentric.
So anyone that wasn't interested in that would be like, yeah, no thanks. Right, yeah. Which I'd probably be like, nah, that doesn't sound like much fun.
And it is very much a gynocentric event. You know what I mean? Fucking the girls are.
Because they'd just be hanging out with a bunch of chicks like at mannequins,
a bunch of chicks,
that dance with their purses in the middle and go woo.
No, they're not that bad.
And I can't stand people like that.
They're better than that.
I can't stand people like that.
They're better than that.
So it's like, I don't want to hang out with people
like that. It's girls hanging out and they're fucking going, yeah, and then they're fucking egging each other on, and they're throwing the girl into the fucking stripper, and he's stripping like that, and he's fucking pulling her skirt up and shit, you know what I mean? She's getting bashful and run away and grab another one, and they're loving it. They're loving the attention, and they're like love fucking with these dudes. So these dudes look great, though. They look real good. Fucking, they're all six-pack, jacked, fucking handsome Czechoslovakian stripper dudes. So, yeah, all kinds of weird shit's going on in there.
I don't know. Like I said, I think if I was there and got kind of drunk, I'd be like, I'll just be over here in the corner making out with one of the girls.
Well, the girls
with the girl porn stars.
The girls are making out with each other. They'll be making out with a girl, and then that girl will fucking pull her down and fucking shove the other girl's fucking face in the dude's crotch and shit.
I don't like that.
And she'll fucking pop it in. Shit, you do it.
I don't know. I probably wouldn't. I'd probably have to be pretty drunk. John Gore says a chick shouldn't betray the sisterhood any more than a guy shouldn't betray the brotherhood. I don't think I agree with that, man. Because like I said, if you're going to marry somebody... Like, okay, I've never been in this situation. Because like I said, I don't hang out with the type of people that would do this. But if I was at a bachelorette party and the girl that was getting married, even if she was a friend of mine, and she just like totally full on like fuck some male stripper or something like that, I would probably, if her fiance was a friend of mmine too, I would probably tell him. Because I'm like, I would want to know if it was me, if the situation was reversed, because it's like you want to have time to like call all the shit off, right? I mean, because I would call everything off if that shit happened. I'm a big advocate of like transparency. You know what I mean? And I don't think it's fair to keep information like that from somebody when they're about to hitch their entire life to that person. Like, I think that's shitty. So now if I didn't know the dude, that might be different because it'd be a little awkward. You know what I mean?
I would not get involved.
Well, yeah, I was thinking, okay, so if I didn't know the dude, I'd probably be more inclined to be like, yeah, I'm staying out of this. But if I did know the dude and he was a friend of mine, I would tell him.
What if you were the girl's friend, though?
I would still tell him. Because it's a shitty thing to do to somebody. That's a shitty thing to do to somebody. Know. And like I said, he has a right to know. Like I said, if the situation was reversed, I would want to know.
Yeah, but the thing is though is
I mean, I know some people wouldn't want to know, but I would just be like, hey,
it could be that shit went down. They got married and they lived happily forever after, and you
I know,
fucked
but
it up.
no, that's I don't think of it that way.
Just because she fucking popped the dude's dick in her mouth doesn't mean she wouldn't be a good wife. That's the reality behind
No,
it.
I know that.
Every fucking woman I've been with did bad shit.
I know that,
I expect it. I almost think that if you didn't do anything bad, I don't fucking trust you. That's fucking funny because you had an extremely low body count, which is kind of out of my character because I actually preferred bad girls because I didn't have to care about them as much, you know.
Yeah.
But no, I would never fucking ruin somebody's fucking marriage. Crazy. If they're getting married, she's fucking drunk and having fun, and fucking she does something like that with a stripper in a fucking public.
I don't know. I don't know how I would feel if I was in that situation.
That's not that serious to me. That's not
But,
sex. That's not real sex.
Like I said, if the dude was a friend of mine, I would probably just say, like, hey, you know, some shit went down. Do you want to know? Like, if he might not want to know.
That's the same as telling him.
You know?
I wouldn't say anything.
Maybe
you guys have a nice
maybe
life.
he doesn't care. Maybe he doesn't care. I don't know.
You guys have a nice life. I'm just not a tattletale.
I'm not either generally, but like I said, if it was me, I would want to know.
I'm not tattletale. I don't tattle.
Like, I would be really upset if, like, the situation was reversed and all this shit happened, like, behind my back and nobody told me. I'd be really mad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the thing is you might marry the dude and get a fucking good 40 years out of him. You don't know.
No, I know that, but it's like, you know, but then, but by the same token, you could marry the dude and he could end up cheating on you or being a shithead. Like, you know what I mean? You don't know what's going to happen in the future.
But the dude that didn't do that at the fuck up could also do that.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's not an indicator.
I don't
think it's an indicator.
No, I don't know if it's an indicator. I just said I'm a big advocate of, like, transparency is all that is. I believe that you should give people as much information as possible, like, so they can make the best decision. That's all. And if there's a significant number of, like, or amount of information that you're not getting, then you don't.
Maybe I'm just more of a sociopath than you are.
You are,
because it's not my responsibility to tell on other people and to tattletale.
Well, like I said, it would be
enforce society's fucking.
No. I'm not saying
standards
that.
on.
Well, no. I'm just saying that. Look, no, you're misunderstanding what I'm saying. I'm not trying to enforce any, like, morality or anything like that.
You are.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying that if the guy was my friend, I would want him to know. That's all. Like, if I didn't know the dude, I probably wouldn't feel any.
Why would you want him to know? I mean, there's got to be some kind of a.
Because I would want to know if it was me.
Yeah, it's moral projection.
I would want to know if it was me.
Yeah. Well, I would fucking actually protect my friend from it. I wouldn't want to spoil his fucking fun. Yeah.
Because then, like, if you didn't tell him, and then he found out later, and then he might come back and be like, "Cut, why didn't you tell me?" You know what I mean? You saw that shit and you didn't say anything.
I don't think it's an indicator of anything. I don't think it's
a
red flag.
I'm not saying it is, but I'm just saying, well, I think it's a red flag.
I don't think it is.
I think it's a red flag.
No, I think people, whether a person did that or not, has no. I don't think that has any bearing on whether or not that person's going to be a good husband or wife. Or
well, no, and I'm not saying that is necessarily the case. I'm just saying that I think that if you're going to marry a person, then you should have all the information available. That's all. Like, if you still want to marry the person,
I don't even ask.
If you still want to marry the person, then okay.
I don't even ask.
You know,
if I'm dating,
maybe you don't care.
Yeah, if I'm dating some chick, I just assume she's fucking somebody else. And that she will. I don't never really had the princess fucking idea or the Disney the Disneyland kind of expectations of a fucking Disney princess that was perfect in every way. I didn't really find any women like that in my travels.
Well, no one's like that. Yeah, I don't have that either. I just assume people are gonna fuck me over.
Yeah, that's the default setting because that's so like I said.
But but that even makes it more what I don't know what the word is. No. Don't interrupt me.
All right.
That even makes it more profound for me because, you know, it's the same kind of thing where I kind of feel like you interrupted me and I forgot what I was going to say. So you need to quit doing that.
Okay.
I forgot what I was going to say.
I'm just saying I don't really get involved in other people's business, and I don't want to be. You'd end up being the bad guy. That's what would happen.
Well, I know that, but like I said, I would. That's why people were that's why there was such a huge discussion about it, because some people were like, well, I'd want to know, and I'd be mad if like a friend saw it and didn't tell me. Because you would want the information. I would want the information.
You would end up being the bad guy, no matter what would happen.
Well, yeah, and she knew that.
Both people would blame you.
She knew that.
Yeah.
And she was just kind of like, well, you know, she's like, I don't know. I just feel bad. I don't know what to do about it. And so, like I said, there was like a huge discussion. And I was like a good discussion in the comments, like both for and against. And I could see both ways. Like I said, it would depend on the circumstance. Like I said, if I didn't know him that well, I probably wouldn't.
Yeah. But both people would blame you.
No, I know that.
So I wouldn't have anything to do with that.
I'm aware of that.
It's not my responsibility to save people from other people like that. You know, I'm not directly related to them, and I don't really think it would have any bearing on how good their marriage would go or not. Because good people are capable of doing fucked up shit and then shaking it off and not doing it again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
Especially if it's some chick who thinks that she's having her last hurrah.
Yeah.
Which is usually what's happening in those things. And she's going to fucking act up. And a lot of it's peer pressure. And just because she did that's not even real sex. You know?
Yeah. I get it. Like I said, it's... I don't know.
Dude's a professional. You know, he's not...
But if it was me, I would want to know.
Yeah.
And I would be mad if somebody didn't tell me. Like that shit was going on behind my back and nobody told me.
And then you might lose a good husband.
Well, that's kind of... But like I said, at least I have the information to make an informed decision.
And you'd end up with a crappy husband or a husband that fucking wasn't as good as the other one.
Or you might end up with a better one.
You might, but chances are,
never
if you
know.
were going to marry that first one, he could have been pretty good.
I don't know. Usually the first ones aren't. That's your starter husband.
I'm just I'm just not real.
Until you've figured yourself out.
I'm not really into like being Captain Save a Ho or anything like that, where I'm going to try to fucking correct the situation, and I'm just not like that. I don't really take any of that kind of stuff seriously either. Who cares what some chick does on her fucking bachelorette party?
Okay, well, if it wasn't a bachelorette party, if you knew that the chick was like straight up cheating on the dude.
Yeah, that's a different situation.
Yeah. We'll see, but that's kind of... So I kind of see it as the same way. But it's like a different degree, obviously.
Oh, if she was just fucking some dude, fucking, and she had a boyfriend? Oh, yeah, it's a dude. She's
yeah, like, yeah, if
totally
it was your
different.
friend...
Yeah.
Yeah, you would tell them. So, like I said, it's the same. It's not different.
No,
it's
totally
just it's a difference of degree.
It's totally different.
It's a difference of degree.
She's drunk at her fucking bachelorette party?
Yeah, but...
Fucking come on.
But the thing is, maybe she got drunk at a club and fucked a dude multiple times. It's like you'd still... Like, not at a bachelorette party. And you would want to tell him then. I don't really see that much... There's a slight difference between those situations, but not that big of a difference.
Well... you just got to take it to the next level. That's not what we were talking about. If we were talking about what happened at the bachelorette party,
right?
No, I wouldn't say anything because I don't think it's a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I guess maybe.
No, she was fucking hooking up with some dudes in a club. It was like a legitimate affair. Yeah,
and it happened more than once, and you knew about it.
Yeah, a little bit different. I'd be like, man, she's.
That's what I mean.
Young.
That's information. You need that information
because she's trying to roll you.
Right.
You know, that's different.
Right. I just kind of the shit at the Bachelor. It's not as bad, obviously. You know,
that's innocent. If you
it's
ask
not
me.
as bad.
That's innocent shit. If you ask me, she's just.
It's still kind of bad, but it's not.
She's just kind
of
going through tradition. She's just fucking drunk partying with her friends and fucking professional hot ass fucking stripper fucking drops his fucking junk in her mouth and shit for a few seconds in public, and the girls all laugh. Fuck that. I don't give a fuck about that. I'll take you to a strip club and let a dude drop his junk in your mouth.
I don't want to. I don't want a random dude dropping his junk in my mouth.
I don't give a fuck.
That's what I'm saying. I don't want that to happen. Right. You know what I mean? Like I said, I'll go make out with another chick.
That dude's a professional.
He's but I still don't want his dick in my mouth.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying. It doesn't fucking bother that in that particular scenario, that situation.
Like you're acting like I would want that, and I don't.
No, I'm just saying. It wouldn't bother me because I see that as a ritualized situation. You know what I mean? I don't really see it as a real sexual situation. You know, it's not like you're running off with some boyfriend, having a hamburger, and fucking holding hands and shit like that. So that's not what we're. That's not what we're talking about.
Back to some other.
That's not what we're fucking talking about. You holding hands and kissing and shit. No, It was just a show.
Sucking one milkshake out of 2 straws.
Yeah. That's not what we're talking.
Or eating spaghetti like in Lady and the Tramp.
You walking around he's walking around with his hand in your back pocket and shit. That's what I mean? That's a totally different situation.
Oh man.
Fucking blowing kisses and shit, writing letters.
Yeah, see, that's a little different.
That's worse. Much worse.
In some ways it is.
Because that bitch means that.
Like I said, yeah. Like, to me, like, it's kind of all bad.
Yeah.
But I can see, like, how that would... Because that's, like, an emotional connection. Like I said, and I even know a lot of women that are like, well, yeah, if he just fucks hookers, like, that's bad, but it's not as bad as him having, like, a long-term...
A lot of the guys in there agreeing with me.
Long-term, like,
a lot of
affair
the guys
partner.
agreeing with me.
One guy agreed with you. Calm down.
And then Hugo says, Tom, I just watched Oblivion with Tom Cruise. What'd you think? Would you like it? Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah,
liked
we reviewed it, didn't we?
Yeah, I liked Oblivion.
We reviewed that. I thought.
The only thing that I kind of didn't like about Oblivion is that it was like the first half of it, the way it was shot, and the way it was filmed, the way the story was unraveling. I thought it was really fucking like unique. And then he finds out that fucking he's a clone, and there's a bunch of other ones of him. But then when it got into the real humans that you thought were aliens and trying to survive, when it got to that, it felt a little bit too much like a low budget, almost generic sci-fi movie for a bit. The way it looked and felt.
Yeah.
But still, overall, I thought that was a great movie. It was Tom fucking brings shit to the table. Tom Cruise usually is on a good project. If he's on it, I'll watch it. I'll usually at least like it. He's the last of the true American movie stars. Getting old. But there's a new Mission Impossible coming out, and I'm going to see that.
Yeah, we saw the trailer for it.
I'm going to see that, yeah. I like all the Ethan Hunt Mission Impossible.
Yeah, the last one was actually pretty good. Yeah. We saw it in the theater.
Even the John Woo one was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't like the early ones. They were kind of dumb.
They were movies of their time.
Yeah.
The way they were shot and everything was very in vogue at the time.
Yeah.
John Woo was in vogue when that movie came out. It came out like a Chinese movie.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure we reviewed.
The newer ones like Fallout and everything, they were fucking great.
Yeah, I liked that one.
That's because they saw Daniel Craig's fucking James Bond, like, this is what we're up against.
Yeah, we got to do that.
Yeah, it has that. If you like fucking 007 with fucking Daniel Craig, then you'll like the later fucking Mission Impossibles. They match that. They're kind of an American version of that. I think they're very good.
Even though it's Tom Cruise.
What do you mean, even though it's Tom Cruise? They're very good, and Tom Cruise contributes. I defend Tom Cruise.
I know you do. That's why I always like...
We are in the short man mafia.
That's
together.
why I always needle you about it, because you always get so offended when I'm
very offended
when I say something sideways about Tom Cruise.
I can't understand. I can't understand. I like Tom Cruise.
I don't know. He bugs me.
She's just mad about the Scientology angle of it.
No, it's not just that. I mean, that's a big component. But I never liked what a cocky asshole he was. I don't really like the cocky asshole persona.
I got a feeling
gets on my nerves.
I got a feeling that if you meet him in person, under just like relaxed conditions, he's probably okay. I think he's okay.
I don't know. Didn't you say that somebody that knew him said he was quote unquote diabolical?
Yeah, it was a Scientologist said he was diabolical, but he was when he goes to a fucking org or one of the Scientology bases, he bosses people around.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, he bosses fucking Scientology because he's got rank there.
Yeah.
He's probably like as high as a cardinal or a bishop or some shit.
Yeah, they're probably all like fucking creaming themselves when he.
Yeah, they are. If he just orders them, look, I want you guys to rebuild my entire interior of my SUV. I want fucking communications here. I want video here and here. I want this bitch to look like the inside of the fucking Millennium Falcon.
Didn't he have like...
He'd have him redo the inside of his old vehicles and shit. Yeah.
Didn't he have like at one org when him and Nicole Kidman were together?
Yeah.
Like when he was coming there, didn't he say to like plant this particular types of flowers like in the gardens and all this other kind of stuff? It's so obnoxious.
They turned one of the orgs into a fucking Tom Cruise paradise.
Yeah,
for him and Nicole Kidman. And
so
that didn't work out though. Yeah,
she got the fuck away from that.
She thought that was strange.
Can't. It is. It's kind of creepy.
Well, I think he's kind of a ritualistic kind of guy. He likes things within a certain framework. He has what they call a strong frame. When you're dealing with him, you're going to have to be in this box. She got sick of that, I think.
Yeah, no thanks. No thanks.
But he was younger at that time. He may not be like that now. People change. You know. I fucking have certain feelings about Tom Cruise.
He has feelings about Tom.
I have these
feelings. Are they
pants
feelings, Tom?
They're not that kind of fucking Tom. They're not that kind of feelings.
He has pants feelings.
They're not that kind of I think Tom Cruise really didn't come from anything.
Yeah.
He said he had dyslexia, which
I've heard.
I think that might be in Scientology helped him fucking overcome dyslexia and all kinds of shit. And they gave him, but I don't really think that that's exactly what happened. I think he got involved with Scientology when he was a small-time actor. He got bigger, and Scientology stayed attached to him. I have a feeling that he didn't have an educational background. I think he couldn't read. That's what I think. And I think Scientology taught him how to read.
Yeah.
And then,
well, you got to be able to read all L. Ron Hubbard's bullshit.
Yeah.
So.
And then I think he might have fucking recast that as dyslexia. It might have just been more like illiteracy.
Yeah.
But the thing is, though, is he was smart. They said he couldn't read those scripts so he could remember every line. He had a real good brain. So in my theory, they teach him how to read. He gets involved in a bunch of stuff in education. And, I mean, he can fly aircraft. He's good with motorcycles. He's great with guns. I've seen him shoot fucking guns. He's good. He wanted to be a heroic guy. But he couldn't be like me where you join the military. He was too rich. He had a fucking movie career. He's not going to fucking stop his career and fucking go into the military for fucking 4 or 6 years. He's not going to do that. So, Scientology has a paramilitary wing to it called the Sea Org. It's kind of like the Navy. So I think Tom Cruise sees himself kind of like a Navy SEAL.
Scientology. I know he sees himself like that.
And he has training. He has real training, and he has real skills. So he might meet or exceed a lot of the shit that a commando might be able to do. Now he's older, but I think he's mostly kind of like a self-made dude, and he used what he had at hand. And Scientology was one of the little organizations that fucking helped him fucking kind of come about. I guess that's a good way to put it. He just took a different path. He is a movie star, so and he is good. Fucking in Collateral, I thought he was fucking amazing as that assassin. He's good. He's very good. Is he a douche? He might be. He might be.
He's definitely a douche.
And he might have been more douchey at certain times than others, because I think he's kind of sheltered. He doesn't deal with normal people. Everybody he deals with is somebody in the church or some kind of hired hand, professional, or another celebrity who's kind of looking at him sideways, you know. And I don't even think he likes other celebrities that much. So I think in a way he's kind of sheltered from normal life, which that could affect you, you know. And I think he's kind of overcome that sheltering and the kind of like the awkwardness of being out of place. I think he kind of shields himself with this like an image of kind of like arrogancy in a way. That's a good way to defend yourself. And fucking, they really cracked down on him when he jumped up on Oprah's couch and was talking about fucking psych drugs and shit like that. I didn't know what he was talking about. And those girls were fucking in the audience, were eating out of his hands and shit. He's just playing towards an audience that he's seeing. Is it corny? Yeah, it's corny. But them fucking women were liking it at the time. It didn't fucking translate well over time. And when you replayed it over and over again,
like, look at that crazy. He's
being very theatric. Yes, yes. But he's an actor. He's a fucking drama kid. Okay?
Just stop it.
He's a drama kid. They're gonna do shit like that.
I hate that shit.
Yeah.
It's just so like attention whory.
So it was a kind of a way of being for its time. Remember how everything was in the fucking box in that era in the 2000s?
Yeah.
Everything was ritualized, formalized, and packaged up for television and shit. He was in that world.
So you guys heard the rumor about Tom Cruise being a fish fucker?
Oh, that's a good one. Let me go to the restroom, though.
I heard. Give me another drink on the way back.
Okay, I'll make you one.
Please.
I'll make it on the way back.
Yeah, I had actually never heard this rumor. It's not as prevalent as the, the gerbil up the ass. That wasn't Tom Cruise though. That was fucking, what's his fucking name? Now I can't think of his name. I'll think of it in a second. But Richard Gere. But yeah, evidently they're all. I saw it on Wang's channel. And he said, evidently, like, all these rumors started going around about an A-list celebrity. And they kind of figured out that it was probably Tom Cruise. And several people in different cities reported him going into, like, a supermarket with his bodyguards and entourage and stuff. And then he would buy a fish from the fish counter and tell them to not wrap it. And then he would take it with him into the bathroom. But then when he came out of the bathroom, he didn't have the fish. And sometimes they would go in the bathroom later and find the fish in the trash can. Is this true? Probably not. But apparently it's like some urban legend that's going around. I had never heard it before I saw it on Wags. Because I think the name of the video is Tom Cruise Fish Fucker. And I was like, oh my God, I gotta watch that. You know what I mean? But yeah. So I don't know how true that is. But how weird. Some people suggested they're like, maybe he's not fucking the fish. Maybe it's like a drug drop. And that like whoever is selling him the fish is like putting the drugs in the fish. But then they're like, well, why would you go to all that trouble? Like you could just get your drugs some other way. You know what I mean? It just seems like really dumb, like super convoluted. But some people just surmised that he was just going to the bathroom and having his way with the fish. Because he would always get like specific kinds and they always had to be like kind of large. And he always wanted the whole fish, not fillets. So. And several people in different cities over different time periods. Like whatever his city he was filming in at the time, would say, hey, yeah, I saw this A-list celebrity, quote unquote. But through context clues, they found out that it was Tom Cruise. Was it a halibut? Tom Cruise has a fish fetish. I mean, you didn't hear it from me. Well, I mean, you did. But I mean, I heard it from Wang. I had never heard it before that. But apparently it kind of went around. But like I said, it might just be that Richard Gere gerbil in the butt thing. You know, it might be like another thing of that. You know what? And that's been around since, probably the 80s. When did you first hear about Richard Gere having a gerbil in his asshole?
Oh man, the 70s and a little kid.
Yeah, I mean, it was maybe even earlier than the 80s. But I was like, I wonder, like, that's so specific though. Yeah. So I'm always kind of like, I love urban legends. I have like books and books of them. And I'm not entirely sure where that one originated. I mean, it's not true, but it's so weird how it was up. I've heard it about a couple of other celebrities, but it's almost always Richard Gere. And I was just like, why Richard Gere? Why a gerbil? Like, why?
It was just some shit they pulled out of their fucking ass, like fucking Rod Stewart.
Like a gerbil.
With fucking getting his stomach pumped.
And there was all that cum in there?
Yeah. That's all. That's all just shit people made it. Now, CB's saying that Tom Cruise is gay. No, he's not gay. People inside the Church of Scientology that have since left, that don't like him and everything, you know, they've been asked, is he gay? No, he's not. He's straight. Now, where the whole gay thing came from with Tom is that when he was in his... He got in this movie called Risky Business, I think it was called.
Yeah, that was 83.
He was still young. And he does this fucking dance in his fucking underwear with socks to old time rock and roll is what they named the song.
Yeah. Bob Seger. Tom hates Bob Seger. And
on that scene right there, on the back of that scene, overnight he became like a gay sensation. He was like... All the fucking gay dudes were just fucking loving on him. Fantasizing. Yeah, he's gay. He's got to be gay. That kind of shit. They just were projecting. They wanted him to be gay. He wasn't gay. Everybody that knows him says that he's into women. He knows about that rumor, too. He knows.
Well, it'd be hard not to know.
Yeah, he knows about it.
Because, like, everybody has heard that.
Now, but here's a caveat. I'm not saying Tom Cruise did this, but let's just say actors like Tom Cruise, in the days in which Tom Cruise was still young, all right, at the beginnings of their career, sometimes have to do some shit to get a role.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if he fucking... That's kind of like going gay for pay.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if you got nothing. You're working at a damn restaurant, you know what I mean? And you fucking got this, you know... You're trying to get your second movie. Let's say you got a first movie, it's good. But now your second movie, you know what I mean? Fucking... It's got to be even better because you got to pay off your house. All right? And this fucking role will do that. All right? You're going to do anything you got to do to get that fucking movie. And if the guy fucking doing all the casting and shit, the fucking, or the producer of that movie, who's fucking shilling out the money, if he's fucking fruity, and he says, yeah, I'll put him in my movie, you know, as long as I can go on a date with him. Fucking Cruise's manager's gonna say, yeah, look, they want to put you in the movie, but the producer fucking wants to fucking spend some time with you.
If you know what I mean.
See if you're right for the role, type of deal. And
he wants to spend some time in your booty hole, is what that means.
Right. Or up in your mouth.
Or possibly both.
They're going to do some of that fucking...
Hopefully not in that order.
They can do some of that Diddy action. The diddler. Okay, they're going to do that on you. So it would not surprise me if that may have happened a few times with fucking Tom Cruise. I'm not saying it did.
That's probably quite common, though.
I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me if that did happen. And if you know Scientology... You got to when you're in that cult, you got to go through auditing, which is confession, basically. It's confession on a lie detector.
Except you're just kind of holding two tin cans.
Yeah, but it is a primitive lie detector.
Sort of.
It doesn't work as good as a real lie detector, but they say it does kind of do something. But
it uses whatever technology.
But I think that same kind of technology is used in certain aspects of lie detection. It's just it's a poor man's lie detector. But it would not surprise me if he goes into auditing to fucking get rid of his fucking thetans. To help him
get
fucking...
those thetans out.
His thetans.
Get them off me. Get them off me.
Alien parasitic souls that can attach themselves to you.
Of course. Like everybody knows.
Yeah. It's possession, you know?
Yeah.
So you're fucking undergoing inquisition, basically, on a lie detector to try to get rid of these evil alien souls that are in you, and they're going to ask you about your sins.
Mm-hmm. And then they keep that shit.
And they're going to write all that shit down, and it's going to go in your file. So if you leave the church, they're going to fucking throw that shit out.
It all comes out.
Well, think about what would happen if Tom Cruise left the church. The church would go, oh, we got all his audits here. He's gay as shit. He was doing this and that. And people would believe it.
Yeah.
You know.
Like at this point, I think he's still a movie star, but I think he's older now.
Yeah.
And the culture has changed. I don't think people would care. It wouldn't be as scandalous as it would have been back in his heyday.
That would hurt his feelings, though.
Yeah.
He doesn't want people to think of him like that.
I don't care about his feelings. He's just a person like everybody else. I know he thinks he's fucking Superman.
He thinks he's Tom Cruise because he is Tom Cruise.
He's just a dude.
This is a movie.
He takes a shit like everyone else.
This is a movie about Tom Cruise, by Tom Cruise, starring Tom Cruise, for Tom Cruise, produced by Tom Cruise, in a world staffed by Tom Cruise. That's the Tom
starring
Cruise
Tom Cruise
starring
as
Tom Cruise as Tom Cruise.
And the name of the movie is Tom Cruise.
In the movie, Tom Cruise. Starring Tom Cruise.
How fucking funny would
Produced
that be?
by Tom Cruise.
If he had a sense of humor, he should totally do it. He should just make a movie called Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise, yeah.
And then they should AI everybody in the movie, just like in Being John Malkovich, where everybody looked like John Malkovich. They should make everybody look like Tom Cruise. That would be hysterical. I would have a lot more respect for him if he did that, because it would show that he was self-deprecating, like that he could laugh at himself.
I don't think he has a sense of humor.
No, that's another reason why I can't hang, because
he has the old school movie star fucking persona is what he wants, where he has to be perfection.
Yeah.
He has to be an icon.
And he's kind of untouchable. He doesn't really want to hang with the plebes and everything. Man, the place I used to work...
I think he doesn't want the plebes to know what he's really like.
I can tell kind of what he's really like. I can imagine what he's like just from seeing him on screen. But but the thing about it was that the place I used to work, I don't know, probably most of you guys know this because I've said it before, but I used to live in Clearwater, and I worked for a company It wasn't a Scientology org. It was just like a printing company, like a publishing company. But it was owned by Scientologists. Actually, quite a well-known Scientologist at the time. Her name was Bonetta Slaughter. And most of the people that worked there, probably like 60-70% of the people that worked there were Scientologists. And the lady who was the manager of the graphic design department, I can't remember what her name was, but she just looked like a turtle. So that's just kind of, she didn't have a chin as such. And she was talking quite rapturously about the time that Tom Cruise came to the Clearwater org, because Clearwater is kind of their big base. Like, so a lot of the big wigs in Scientology like come there like once a year, whenever. Yeah.
Where all
so
the staff is.
She was just, I thought she was gonna like fucking come in her pants, like talking about the time. I was like, gross. Like, you know what I mean? I was kind of grossed out by the whole situation, but you know. John Gore said, what if Tom Cruise remade Cruising? Oh, now see, that's something I would pay to see.
Yeah.
That's something I would pay to see. But like I said, that would mean that he had a sense of humor and some self-awareness, which I don't really think he has either of those things.
Scientology knows something about him. They know stuff about him. Miscavige, he's the COB, he's the chairman of the board of Scientology. He's the number one. He runs it. What's his first name?
David.
David, that's right.
David Miscavige.
David Miscavige, he's another little short motherfucker in the Short Man Mafia. David Miscavige, evidently, like, you know, some people that knew him and left the church would kind of like goof on Tom Cruise behind his back. He's like, hey, that dude, he's such a fucking dork, you know. They just, like, he's
like
a dork.
I could see that.
So
I mean, that's kind of mean, but I can see why people would do that.
And what's funny is that they're like best friends. They'll hang out, but then he still calls him a dork and shit.
Behind his back.
Behind his back, yeah.
That's David Miscavige is like legit evil.
Yeah, he's a psycho. He'd be trying to beat his little ass, beating people up, and they can't fight back because he's got all this fucking power over them and
Which
shit.
is ridiculous because, like, you think at some point, no matter how brainwashed you were, like even some Scientologist who was like twice his size, be like, you know what, fuck this, pap, would just like knock his little ass out. I'm sad nobody ever did that. He might learn something. I doubt it, but you know, that's kind of the whole thing. But I was gonna say something else about Tom Cruise and I forgot.
They were also saying that John Travolta was out ethics. Out ethics means that you fucking do bad shit.
Yeah, you did something like that Scientologists don't approve of.
Fucking. He was doing that Scientology movie, fucking Battlefield Earth, and they were seeing like the daily cuts. And Miscavige was like, and Tom Cruise was in it too. Tom Cruise fucking was said like, "What is up with fucking him in that movie? Did you see how he's acting and shit?" And he's like, "Yeah, I know." And they were like, "Fucking, well, why is he doing that?" You know, Miscavige goes, "Well, you know, he's out ethics. Out ethics means he's gay." That's what they were talking about. Because they knew John Travolta was gay.
Yeah.
John Travolta's queer as fuck.
I mean, I heard...
He's queer as a $2 bill. Yeah. $3.
I heard from a relative. I had an aunt. She divorced my uncle, so she's not technically my aunt anymore, but she was my aunt when I was growing up. And she owned a salon in Port Orange, Florida, where John Travolta had a house and a airstrip where he would like park his planes. He had like a hangar. And he used to come in there to her salon and get facials all the time. And according to her, yeah, he was gay as shit.
Gay as shit, yeah.
She's like, obviously, very gay. But I don't know. I mean, that was just her and the other women that worked there, like, said that.
And I think he's married
like,
and has
like
kids.
Gaydar was...
Well,
yeah, like, he's married to... He was married to Kelly Preston, but she died.
Okay.
I think. And didn't his son die, too?
I don't know.
Yeah, because I thought they had a son that died, also. I can't remember what his name was, though. But didn't Kelly Preston die? Like, they were married a long time. She's an actress, also.
He's evidently flaming. He's
well, like I said, for my aunt to say that, she's like, it was very, very obvious to everybody that worked there.
Yeah, everybody in Scientology said that.
That he was super gay.
Obviously gay.
I mean, my aunt has been telling me that since the 80s. So, you know, I'm just saying. And there's obviously there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying it's stupid that...
There's something wrong with that in Scientology.
That's what I mean. It's just stupid that, like, if you're in that stupid cult and, like, you can't just, like, be... It's like, yeah, hey, I'm gay. It's like, okay, it's fine.
Yeah,
just,
they
Jesus
say
Christ.
that being gay
Stop denying it.
Is extremely low on the tone scale. That's what they call it. They have all these fucking weird pseudoscience fucking ways. It just means that your energy is negative. It's very negative energy.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah, American military said his son died in an accident by slipping in the bath and cracking his head on the tub. Yeah, see, it's like home's the most dangerous place. That's what they say. DB Dragon. Oh, here's a question you'll like. Tom, what stack, if any, was Smoke and Stack on in Sinners, if you don't know what he's talking about?
Yeah,
Is Michael B. Jordan natty?
No, neither one of those guys. Well, it's the same guy.
I was going to say neither one of those guys. Like, it's the
No.
same guy. They were just playing
No.
twins.
He's on test. Probably did some Nandrolone. Anavar, maybe. Oh, that might be too weak for him. But no, he's not. No, just he works out too. He lifts. He was in Creed though too, and in
He
Creed,
was, yeah.
In Creed, he wasn't natty. No. Sorry guys, hate to break your hearts and shit. If a dude looks amazing, he's on shit. You can't look that.
It's kind of hard to look like that.
And not to say that they have bad genetics or anything. No, dudes like that have good genetics before they start.
Yeah, that just like enhances it.
It just enhances it. Yeah.
I kind of feel like nobody in movies that has to look any kind of ripped. I don't think any of them are
none of them are natural. Including the women.
Because it's really, really hard, especially the ones that are slightly older.
Yeah.
Like, you can't really look like that without... I mean, yeah, they have all this money and they have trainers and nutritionists and all this other stuff, and that helps too, but I'm sure that they are on a bunch of shit also.
If a dude is just looking fantastic, he's over the age of 30, he's on shit. This is just how it goes. Dudes can look good after 30, but they're not going to look fucking ripped. They're not going to look physically impressive after 30, because natural production of testosterone starts to taper off. And you just can't really hold the shape that you could hold in your 20s and late teens, early 20s, That's really your high point. Men weren't really designed to live all that long at that kind of peak performance. Now, there are certain cases. Some dudes are genetic phenoms. They are phenomenal people. But they're 1 in 10,000. Okay? A good example would be fucking just the king of aesthetics. Who was the dude that used to play fucking Hercules and shit? What's that motherfucker's name? Just off the top of my tongue.
Steve Reeves.
Steve Reeves. You can look up Steve Reeves right now. He's from the 50s and 60s, and he played all these fucking heroic guys. He was better looking than Arnold Schwarzenegger. Not quite as big, but better. He had his aesthetics, his symmetry were fucking perfect. He looked like a hood ornament. And he was totally natural. But I know he was totally natural because he looked like that by the time he was 17. Which means he was phenomenal. He was a phenom. He produced a lot of testosterone.
But that's like 1 in a million.
It's like 1 in 10,000. And he held together for a long time. I mean, he looked pretty good in his 40s. But, age kicks in. He wasn't... The knowledge of fucking injecting testosterone to fucking kind of keep your testosterone levels high. They didn't really know much about that back then. That would have been highly... Some guys hit on it by accident, like Jack LaLanne. He just took Anavar pills, which that's kind of like testosterone. And he held together for a long time. Fucking Jack LaLanne looked good in his fucking late 60s, early 70s, and that wasn't natural either. It was just worked out. He took fucking. Most people say Anavar. He may have been injecting some testosterone, but they didn't realize how important it was. Testosterone was available. It's been available for a long time, and what they used to prescribe it for, and what guys would buy it for, was to help with fucking inconsistent stream of urine when you're fucking what prostate. What do you call that shit? When you're pissing, it kind of comes and goes and comes and goes. They would take testosterone for that, and it helps because I'm on testosterone, and it. People say, "Oh, it'll make your prostate swell. It'll make your prostate." No, not one. It probably make it shrink. There's all kinds of shit that fucking is a bunch of misinformation about what testosterone and steroids do. It's very dose dependent. It depends on how old you are and how much you're taking and what you're taking it for. But it's definitely a part of anti-aging therapy, rich guys that don't go to regular doctors because they know better, like fucking the dude that owns Amazon, he's fucking pumping tests and steroids. Certain amounts of them. He looks great. Jeff Bezos looks great.
Yeah, CB says Tom Cruise does not help himself by making an ass out of himself in interviews. That's true. And he also said all of Tom Cruise's wives have blinked SOS. Yeah, at some stage. Lo Wang says Battlefield Earth is hilariously bad. I agree.
I like the movie, though.
Well, it's stupid as fuck.
I like the movie. It's just a cheesy sci-fi.
I can't really sit through the whole thing. I mean, I did like the riff tracks of it, but I couldn't watch it like unassisted. Hello there says, when Tom Cruise criticized Brooke Shields for taking antidepressants to deal with postpartum depression, even though he had no idea what she was going through, what an asshole. Yeah, anything like that, because Scientology
don't believe in that.
They don't believe, yeah. Well, like I said, they're kind of idiots that think they're smarter than everyone else, which is irritating. And they don't believe in psychiatry, and they don't believe in any kind of
psych
medicines or anything like that. So they think you can Scientology your way out of shit like that. Which, yeah, so when he came on and was criticizing her, because it's like, bitch, like, you don't know her, like, you don't know.
When you look at...
It's like, piss off. I would be really mad, like, if that stupid motherfucker said that shit about me.
When you kind of look at what L. Ron Hubbard was saying about psychiatry and psych medicines and shit, you have to understand the time in which he's writing this. And what his business strategy was. He was trying to get people that normally would be going to see a fucking psych doctor to come to him.
Well, yeah, that was the whole reason.
That was his competition.
That he criticized, because it was started out as kind of like a self-help, quote-unquote, thing. And so psychiatry was the competition. So he was trying to shit on the competition, so you'd come to him instead.
Yeah. Now that's
the only reason.
There is something to that, though. I mean, some of the psychiatric medicines that they give to people are just a Band-Aid.
Well, sure. I mean, no one's saying that.
Yeah, that, you know what I mean? You got mental problems.
It's just that you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah, you can't just drug yourself out of a mental problem. You're going to have to confront those problems, overcome them, and resolve them.
That's the thing. Usually people that have mental illness that are getting care for it, it's not usually just, we'll give you some drugs and go away. They usually do talk therapy and other things like that in conjunction with...
Well, we're not separating the different kinds of mental illnesses. Depression and fucking trauma is, like you went through a traumatic event, tend to be kind of temporary if everything's normal. You can recover from that without drugs. And sometimes drugs might make it worse. All right.
Depending, yeah.
Now, if you have schizophrenia, that's a totally different fucking thing.
Yeah.
All right.
You need meds for that.
You need medicine for that. There's other kinds.
And probably for the rest of your life.
Yeah, right. So, L. Ron Hubbard had, I think, half of it right. That he says, like, instead of fucking taking psych medicines to mask your fucking psychic pain, you should go through therapy to fucking overcome it. And you do that through having a positive mental outlook. You know what I mean? And fucking don't get depressed, stay growing, get over it, that kind of shit. Hell yeah. The body responds to the mind, and the mind responds to the will. So that part's fucking true. But you can't willpower your way out of schizophrenia.
No.
But that's not what... But that's the problem with Scientology. Scientology probably says you could. Wouldn't surprise me if they said, oh, no. They'd come up with some shit like, fucking schizophrenia. Oh, yeah, you can will yourself out of that.
No.
Yeah.
That's not how that works.
It's like an organic problem in the brain that's happening there. And it's well understood the pattern of what happens to people on fucking...
I used to be fucking so scared that I was going to get that.
They know what's going to happen to them.
I saw a documentary about it when I was a teenager, and I was like, holy shit. Because it's like, it usually comes on in your 20s.
It's something genetic, too. So,
And I was like, oh, no.
So it's not quite the same type of mental illness.
Because that looks like super scary.
Right.
Like, that looks super scary to have. CB said, see, this is what pissed me off, too. It said, CB says, maybe Tom Cruise should have called Danny Masterson out for committing sex crimes instead of someone who was feeling shit. Yeah, exactly. And did he say anything about Danny Masterson, a fellow Scientologist who is a sex criminal? No, he did not. He was just like crying at fucking Brooke Shields for taking some meds for her postpartum depression.
Well, yeah, okay. You know why she did that? You know why he did that? Because they're trying to recruit Brooke Shields. Let's guarantee you that's what they were trying to do.
That's not really the best way to do it, is it?
That's
What is he trying to neg?
But the thing is that
you've been reading some books by some MRAs or something.
The thing is that you're putting normal psychology. You're projecting that onto
crazy people.
Onto Scientology.
Onto crazy
they
people.
don't have a normal psychology.
No, obviously they don't. I worked with them.
They're religious fanatics.
I worked with them.
Yeah, they're religious.
Every
fanatics.
single day, I used to look at them like, what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
They're very negative. They'll badger people. They'll humiliate people. They'll cuss. They'll do all kinds of you fucking faggot. You know, whatever. You just faggot. You know, they're very much. They're very. They're not religious people as you know them. They're. Imagine if a fucking...
No, they're in a cult.
Imagine a military officer makes his own religion. That's going to involve smoking people and cussing at people, and smoking cigarettes and fucking... And that's what's
because they're totally good for you.
That's what's in there. Yeah, cigarettes are good for you. They
Didn't
harden
you know?
you up against cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how that works.
That's the way they work, so...
These people are not serious people. Well, like I said, every day, like one of them would say something and I'd just be like... I'm just like looking at them like they're bugs under a microscope. I'm like, you guys are fascinating and also completely batshit insane.
Well, they have their own fucking education. And their education is fucking
such as it is education with bunny rabbit ears.
The way they
indoctrination,
the way they think is not like a normal person at all.
No, at all.
So,
it's so weird.
If they saw a person who was sick, and see, one of the things Scientology wants to do is they want to recruit celebrities.
Yeah, so you get a higher profile.
Right, so if they saw Brooke Shields had some kind of mental problem, they're going to want to get her to join, to get help. The Scientology way of doing that is to fucking go like, that bitch is out of ethics, basically. She crazy. You went to the wrong people. You're stupid. You need to come to us. We'll help you. We love you. They're foul-mouthed.
Which, like I said, is hilarious. Like, they think that's going to work, because most people are just going to go...
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
But in the Scientology mindset, they would think that she would be shocked out of her stupor and then try to rise to the challenge.
Right.
You know what I mean? To come to get salvation.
Which to me is hilarious because
that's the way they think.
Because that shows that that's how narcissistic they are.
Yeah.
That they think that normal people give a flying fuck what they think.
Well,
nobody does.
Well, that's how Scientologists are recruited.
I know.
They are fucking narcissistic as fuck.
Yeah.
They join Scientology to save the planet.
Yeah. Come on now.
Therefore, they think they have the power to save the planet. You're already fucking delusional.
I'm like, oh, honey.
And that they're special. That they're special, that they have mental powers. You know, it's the Force is what they're talking about.
Ridiculous.
They have mental powers. They can save it.
Ridiculous people.
Yeah.
These are grown-ass adults. They're grown-ass adults.
Yeah.
I used to, like I said, I could only work at this place for 8 months.
Yeah.
And then I said, I have to quit. I can't deal with these fucking people. And not everybody that worked there, some of the people were normal. But actually one of the graphic designers was a Jehovah's Witness, actually. Yeah. He's like, yeah, I told him I was a Jehovah's Witness. They leave me alone. You know what I mean?
That's another cult though.
But I know. But they're like, oh, well, he's already got a cult. But see, the other 3 were like atheists, so they used to kind of like low key. Even though when you started working there, they made you sign a thing that said, we're not allowed to, like, push the Scientology beliefs on you, blah, blah, blah. But it's like they still kind of low-key did that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, I can only take it for 8 months. I'm like, you guys are insane. I feel like I'm starting to go insane just from hanging out with you people. So I'm out of here. Like, I can't take it anymore. I just couldn't take it. It's like they were so fucking weird and just, like, so I couldn't deal with it. It was like dealing with aliens. And not the cool kind, you know?
John says, I'm not anti-Scientology. I find it all very endearing and heroic in its own whack way. Yeah, it kind of is.
It is, but...
I find it very interesting, the weird shit that they're doing. Secret bases, fucking things with...
Yeah, that shit's all very funny.
Yeah.
But...
It's weird.
They legit abuse people.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure they've legit murdered people.
Oh, sure.
People have, for real, like, died at their hands.
Yeah.
Whether that was straight up murder or not.
Well, they're true believers. They're trying to protect their cult. Because they think their cult's going to save the planet.
Yeah. And everyone else is just like, okay, weirdos.
They have L. Ron Hubbard's fucking teachings on fucking, what are they, platinum tablets? Or they're
plates or something.
Yeah.
Are they
titanium? They're titanium plates.
I knew it was like some fancy.
Stored in these big fucking
fancy.
plastic fucking containers.
Yeah.
Out in the desert in a secret fucking facility that has like underground nuclear bomb-proof silos with a couple of guys and electric fences and fucking concrete walls around it, and they got guard towers and fucking. I think it's either AR-15s or Mini 14s. I think it might have been AR-15s that they had. They're manning it like fucking soldiers to protect them damn fucking tablets. They're made to fucking survive the apocalypse.
Because God forbid any of his genius words are lost.
Because they think that if an apocalypse happens, that they will be able to take Scientology to the next level, because that'll be the new religion.
That sounds like some Charles Manson shit.
And evidently those dudes they're out there for fucking, they get fucking stationed out there for like life. So they're out there for the rest of their lives, and they go crazy and kill each other and kill themselves. Shit. And that fucking desert outpost. And most Scientologists never see it, never go there. You just go out there and there's like 6 dudes living out in the middle on this fucking. They bring them supplies, but it's like a maximum security prison with them in it. Bizarre, man.
Full Metal says Juliette Lewis claims that Scientology saved her from drug addiction. I mean, I don't doubt it. I'm sure it does well for some people, because like I said, in the early stages, it is kind of like a self-help group, and sometimes people need that. They need that kind of structure to get their shit together. I get that. But the thing about it is that it's very insidious in the way that it kind of just like, it just kind of suckers you in. Like at first, like you're getting all these and it seems like not all that weird. It's just kind of like, remember we did the show about the Nexium cult?
Yeah.
It's very similar. Although the Nexium cult had like sex slaves and stuff, which Scientology doesn't. But they start out the same way. It's like it's a self-help group or like self-actualization or whatever the fuck. And it's like, so they kind of lure you in slowly with stuff that might help you in the beginning. Yeah. You know what I mean? But then as you get farther and farther in, it gets crazier and crazier and more abusive. Yeah. And you're kind of like the frog in boiling water. You know what I mean? And then you're kind of stuck in it and you're out thousands and thousands of dollars.
There's certain things about Scientology as a cult and just its history that I found that kind of stand out to me, kind of in a positive way. One, they seem to be damn near indestructible. Nothing you do with them, but they're always still around. They're not really growing, but they're not shrinking either. Okay, that was one thing about them. They're tenacious. They have a lot of fucking willpower to believe in that crazy shit, but they like it. Another thing that was good or positive about Scientology is that they don't. It's very rare that they don't do like sexual abuse.
That we know.
Most cults do that.
Yeah, I kind of feel like 99% of cults, that's kind of the whole reason that they're formed.
It's
either to get your
daughter or your wife.
Underage women and money.
That's what they're trying
to do. Or both.
Yeah. And they're trying to steal your daughter or your wife.
Scientology mostly about money.
Yeah, Scientology is not...
And slave labor.
Yeah, Scientology is not very sexual.
It's kind of anti-sexual in a lot of ways.
L. Ron Hubbard himself is actually probably one of the best cult leaders of all times.
On that sliding scale.
Yeah, one of the best of all time. He was...
It's kind of like being, the king of Turd Mountain kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe. The cult liked him. He was very popular and entertaining when he was alive. The cult loved him, actually. He wasn't abusing any women. He had these little teenage girls running around his cabin on his ship and shit, delivering messages and shit in their little shorty shorts and shit. And those girls were still around, and they said that he was never a hint of any impropriety with him. They loved him. And he'd get out and fucking tell them stories about what was happening on other planets and shit. And the star. Oh yeah, and up here is Ursula Major, and that planet there is called.
Your lips out,
pull some fucking some science fiction shit out of his ass, and they would just be fucking eating it up on the fucking freeways on the ship that they had. So he was a good cult leader and very entertaining, and he wasn't abusive to women when he could have. Those girls would have done anything for him, and.
Yeah, as far as anyone knows, he did not take advantage, which, like I said, is very unusual. Because, like I said, pretty much every cult is formed with the express purpose of taking advantage of underage girls. Or taking people's money, or both things.
So sexually, he was a straight shooter, by all accounts. He was interesting. I actually think that I probably could have hung out with L. Ron Hubbard. I couldn't hang out with Davis Miscavige.
No, you'd probably just want to punch him in the dick.
Punch that bitch in that. Once L. Ron Hubbard died, David Miscavige took over, who was kind of like a nobody who kind of clawed his way up through the morass.
Because he was the most ruthless.
He was real ruthless, and he became chairman of the board. And he's a stick. He's got a stick up his ass. This motherfucker's just uptight and fucking. And evidently he doesn't know that much about Scientology. He just knows as a religion. He knows about the culture and how to run the company. And knows how to run Scientologists and knows how to fuck their minds up. But I don't think fucking L. Ron Hubbard would have approved of a lot of the shit that Miscavige did in the company.
Probably not.
Because he was... L. Ron Hubbard was kind of like he was very much a bullshitter. I mean, he could bullshit.
Oh, yeah, big time.
He could fucking spin a yarn. He was very creative. He'd come up with shit off the top of his fucking head, you know. And he could write a whole... And he knew he was... I think in the beginning he knew that he was...
In the beginning.
Yeah. He knew that he was full of shit.
That he was just making stuff
up.
He very deliberately made up that religion to make money.
To make money.
I mean, he said as much.
Well, he wanted to make money, but then he laid it with Dianetics.
Yeah.
And then it turned out he realized that he could get tax exemption if Dianetics was a religion.
So
that he
said make that's even more money.
So he turned it into a religion.
Yeah. I can't believe it.
And he knew that he was doing that. And he went down. In the end, he believed his own bullshit. He died in a desert out in a fucking trailer, hiding from the federal authorities that he thought were after him, and they weren't really. With fucking suitcases and bags of fucking stacks of cash all around him, and him on the e-meter, looking into a mirror, fucking giving himself auditing, trying to get rid, talking to alien souls and shit. And that's how he died.
He started to...
He's going crazy. He did that shit.
Get high on his own supply.
Yeah, and for his last few years, he basically just kept himself under auditing.
That's what happens. You spew bullshit too long. You start believing your own.
Trying to get rid of his alien souls. Souls that were possessing him.
You lose your tether to reality.
Yeah.
That seems to be what happened to him.
Yeah. So I think had I fucking say met him in the midway of his fucking career, like say I was like a guy who was going to go in there and interview him, I probably would have had a good time with him.
Yeah. I find him annoying as fuck.
But I would have thought he was weird. You know what I mean? And his lips are doing this and this and that.
I just can't stop. Every time I see video of him or film of him, it's like I'm just hypnotized by those fucking fish lips.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, yeah. It's like that just really creeps me out.
And I think he was Southern, wasn't he?
Creeps me out. I don't know where he's from.
I
know we did a show we've done a couple of shows about Scientology, but yeah. Papa 77 said nice at first and then bam, cult. Yeah, sometimes that's how it happens. They just kind of ease you into it, you know. And then John Gora says, isn't that every religion in regards to body counts and nefarious deeds? Yes, and that's why I'm not a fan of any of them.
Organized religions are institutions. They're trying to make money and grow. They'll do things to prevent a fucking loss. Yeah. Including knocking somebody off or doing. They're fucked up.
Oh yeah, they will totally do that.
Yeah.
Klaus says, I go for overage women. Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. I mean, age appropriate is good. Well, hello there says, I was trying to think of the last Tom Cruise movie I was able to watch without being distracted by the fact that he's a kook. The Last Samurai, maybe. Yeah, that was a long time ago.
I can watch all those movies and know he's a kook and fucking...
Sometimes it bothers me and sometimes it doesn't.
I still enjoy it.
Like I said, I'm ambivalent.
I even liked The Mummy.
I did not.
Yeah, I liked The Mummy.
I did not. Because it was just, I was
so mad. It was over the fucking top.
It was, I'm not a big fan in general. There are some exceptions. I'm not a big fan in general of those big, bloated, action horror movies. I don't like Underworld. I like Blade, which I guess would fall into that category. But all those kind of movies, especially like in I feel like it was late 90s, early 2000s, like all those very CGI heavy kind of horror movie, but it really is just an action movie with like a little horror movie sprinkling on top. And I really, really did not like those. So I feel like it was that, but like turned up to 11. And I was mad too because I love the original Mummy with Boris Karloff. And I just kind of feel like it wasn't anything like that. They didn't really make much of an effort to make anything like that. And I feel like it was such a missed opportunity because you could have made like a modern version of that and it would have been fucking awesome. But they didn't do that. They just made it some big, stupid action movie, just like all the other ones. And it was just so samey. And it's just like, they're just all the same. I don't know. They were just all the same. And it's just kind of like, that's why I didn't even like any of the Underworld movies. Because they were just all very, very samey. You know, as far as horror movies go, I like a wide range of horror movies. And I'll watch pretty much anything. I have liked some action horror, but generally, I like kind of more creepy, cerebral, low-key kind of horror films. I like slasher movies too. I like all kind of different stuff. I like body horror, but you know, I don't usually like those big spectacle action horror movies, you know. They're just dumb. And they all seem very similar, just like the Marvel movies do.
I don't know about you, but I'm starting to get hungry.
Well, wait a minute, I have to go pee.
Yeah, okay.
We haven't been on that long. Well, I mean we have, but
I'm thinking about maybe you want to go to Subway?
if you want.
Alright. Get some sandwiches. Yeah, fucking Jen Jen can't separate her feelings about Scientology from Tom Cruise and all this other shit. Like somebody in the audience says, fucking Scientology is fucking, they're bizarre. Those motherfuckers are assholes. I've run into them. But it is an interesting story. The Scientology story is very interesting, how that shit happened. And they're kind of fascinating. Fucking secret bases up in the fucking mountains and shit. Fucking David Miscavige kind of getting pissed off at his wife, and he fucking sends her out to fucking what's called the rim of the earth, or fucking some weird shit that they had, which is like it's a Scientology base out in the mountains. It looks like a bunch of condos with a fence around it. Angry Gay Pope went there before they took his fucking channel down. AGP, man. We've had him on the show before back in the early days. He was a Scientology protester. It's I don't know. I kind of think that Tom Cruise has maybe outgrown Scientology. I think that he doesn't really believe in it. But he can't really leave it. If he were to leave it, they'd release all that shit about fucking what he did back when he was young.
Well, see, here's the cool thing.
They'd release all his sins.
About being like us and having no shame.
We don't care.
Because if anybody ever threatened me, hey, I'm going to release this, that, and the other, I'm like, okay.
Yeah. We figured out how to make money on it.
I don't give a fuck. You can't blackmail me.
No.
I haven't done anything that anyone could tell anyone else that I would be fucked up about.
Yeah.
Not, you know? So it's just kind of like... So I'm just saying, if you don't want to get blackmailed... I'm not blaming the victim here, but I'm just saying, if you don't want to get blackmailed, try not doing stuff that someone can blackmail you over.
Or don't tell them about it.
Or don't tell them about it.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Like I said, don't go doing PDF file shit. Just don't do that shit. Easy.
Yeah, American Military 100 says they're essentially a real estate scam. Yeah, now they're a real estate scam.
Oh, big time.
They just take the monies from whales. Okay, not the country whales.
Not the country whales, but actual...
A very rich donor, very rich member, they call them a whale. And they just milk them. And then they're all their credit. They fucking run their credit up. They take that, and then they just buy a piece of property, because they can't hoard money. if they hoard money, that might threaten their
tax exempt status. I can't believe they fucking have that.
So they have to continually buy things, and they just buy properties. So they'll have all these Scientology buildings with fucking books, and they're fucking empty. They look beautiful though, lights and shelves and shit.
Yeah, they spend a lot of money on that.
There'd be like one building selling one book. They got about 1,000 copies of that same book in that building. That's it. All under just with lights shining on it, like it's come down from heaven.
It's the one bookstore.
Like this one book that has this L. Ron Hubbard book in it, and with people working in it, and fucking video screens going up on this, fucking flat screen televisions everywhere, and they're, staff members that are working in there. They've been assigned to be there for fucking years, I guess, and they don't do anything. They don't sell a single one of those books.
No, I don't think anybody ever goes in there.
Nope, it's just for looks.
They want to look like they have a presence and like
shit.
They're important and they have money and stuff.
It's like something out of Twilight Zone. Clearwater is that. Clearwater is nothing but just a bunch of little buildings with selling Scientology books.
Yeah, there's other shit down there, but it's like they own pretty much all of downtown Clearwater.
Yeah.
So it's kind of creepy, but like not a lot of people hang out, or at least they didn't. Like when I lived there, like nobody went down there.
Yeah, there's nothing there Scientology stuff.
Yeah, there's like nothing there to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the fact they have tax. Well, honestly, I don't think any religion should have tax exempt status. I think that's bullshit. I think it should all be rescinded. Cause why? Why? There's no reason for it. They don't do anything that other quote unquote charitable organizations don't do. They don't do anything special.
They're all businesses.
Yeah, and it's just like they're just a business like any other business. So they should operate under the same laws as everyone else. They should pay taxes like everybody else does. You know what I mean? That's a bunch of crap. They would make so much fucking money if they started taxing churches. They totally should. They totally should. I know they probably never will, but they should. Somebody asked us earlier if there was any good series about Scientology. There was one. Everybody knows that Leah Remini has one.
Yeah. It's on one of the services. You could probably find that on TV.
I think it started out on A&E, but I don't know where it is now.
What's it called?
I think it's called Escaping Scientology or
Leaving Scientology
or something like that.
Leah Remini, you'll find it.
Yeah, and there was another one. Maybe I'm thinking of another one because I think there was one called Escaping Scientology that was different. Or no, there was one. No, there was one called Going Clear.
Yeah,
a documentary called Going Clear.
On YouTube, there's a channel called Surviving Scientology, and it's run by the Karen De La Carriere. She was a high-ranking church member. They killed her son, basically.
Yeah.
Through, like, malpractice. And she has high-ranking church members who've left the church on there tell stories, man. Their fucking stories are fucking awesome.
It's horrifying.
They're not horrifying. They're just fucking awesome. The weird shit that they fucking come up with. One of them I like was Freddie Prinze. I think his name is Freddie Prinze.
Prinze, yeah.
And he was kind of like their Grand Inquisitor. He was the only black Scientologist.
Yeah, okay.
And fucking he knew everything about it. He knew L. Ron Hubbard and everything. He's got really good stories about, L. Ron Hubbard gave him a Mini 14 for some kind of like an anniversary type deal. They went out and shot guns a lot. Prince joins the Scientology because he had a spontaneous out-of-body experience. And when he was talking to Scientologists when he was young, they said, "Oh yeah, we know all about that. We can teach you how to do it more." So he joined. But then it never happened to him again, and he was never able to induce it. And then he realized that whatever makes you have a spontaneous out-of-body experience is exactly the opposite of what Scientology is. And I've had spontaneous out-of-body experiences, so I know exactly what he's talking about.
You can't make it happen.
Yeah, not through structure.
No.
You have to release. You got to release your soul. You have to voluntarily die.
Which is like the complete opposite of what they do.
Yeah, they're trying to do it through effort and fucking discipline and shit. No, it's the opposite. It's total release, self-surrender.
Yeah.
You even surrender your personality.
Which they're not all about. Yeah, they're not about that.
Yeah.
CB says, I was going to join a sex/fetish cult, but didn't like what I seen the leader doing, so stayed away from that shit. Honestly, I would advise people just don't join anything, really, unless it's just some innocuous like hobby group or something like that, you know? Anything that purports that they're going to fix your life in some way, or you're going to save the world in some way, or purports that we're better than other people, we have secret knowledge that other people don't have, shit like that, run as far away from that as possible.
Yeah, Papa's got it right. 99% of cults is just money and young girls. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So that's why it's kind of surprising that Scientology was kind of the only one that, like I said, they did
about money, but
they did beat the fuck out of people and make people work like as slaves and stuff. They do that.
Yeah.
You know, so they do like torture kind of shit, but they don't do anything sexual. I've never heard anything. Like I said, not like the Nexium cult.
Yeah.
Might as well be called that. Where they're like branding women and making them like do
now,
orgies and
church
shit.
members have molested other kids.
Yeah.
They've done shit like that, but they got busted by the Scientology and they punished them. They don't agree with that.
Yeah, so it's not like the express purpose of, because I kind of feel like a lot of cults, the express purpose of it
is young girls.
Is just that.
Yeah.
And getting cash out of people. So those are really the only two outcomes. Yeah. And even ones like, you know, we talk about like People's Temple, like Jim Jones. That seemed like it started with good intentions. But then obviously, as everyone knows, went horribly, horribly wrong. But, you know, they all kind of get to the same place eventually because that's just kind of how cults operate. They all kind of work the same way.
Yeah,
so,
I'm not sure Jim Jones started with good intentions, though.
He might not have.
I don't think he started off trying to kill people, but I think he was starting off trying to make a buck out of poor people.
Yeah.
And it went bad over time. He just collected a bunch of poor people and thought he was going to fucking colonize, what fuck was that, Guyana?
Guyana, yeah.
And because they couldn't make it here in the United States, and they were going to have a fucking workers' paradise and shit. They were kind of communist. That shit fell apart instantly. They didn't have the skill set or the money. You can't start a civilization from nothing. You know what I mean? Hey, start planting crops. Well, do we have any seeds? Do we have tools? You know.
Did you guys plan this at all?
Yeah, they didn't know planning. Is anybody a farmer? You know, they didn't know what they were talking about.
Full Metal says, I remember the movie Repo Man was actually poking fun at Scientology. Wow, way back in... When did Repo Man came out? Like back in 1984, I think. I think it was Jimmy Buffett carrying around the parody copy of Dianetics. Man, I remember that fucking Dianetics commercial was every fucking where.
It was impressed the shit out of me as a kid.
Back with the volcano.
Yeah, I was like, wow.
Going off.
That's some heavy shit.
And then they'd ask you like some questions like in this very sonorous, like serious voice. So funny.
It was a very effective advertising.
Well, comedians were making fun of it even back then just because it was so ubiquitous, you know?
Yeah.
Like that fucking
They
commercial.
probably had no idea what they were talking about, though. What Dianetics was. They probably didn't think it was that insidious.
No, well, that's what I mean. I think a lot of people got into it because of that, because they just thought it was like a self-help group. Like I said, that's kind of how people got sucked into Nexium too, which kind of approached things the same way. Like this is kind of like, you know, a self-help group. We're going to help you in your career, and we're going to you're going to, you know, self-actualize. You're going to like make the most of your potential, blah de blah, like human potential kind of movement.
It's more like a pyramid marketing scheme.
Is exactly what it is. So like I said, I know it's like anybody can get sucked into that kind of stuff if you're approached the right way. But just if you're a cynical motherfucker who doesn't like people at all and doesn't want to join anything, thank you very much.
There are a lot of cults out there that are not religions. Like Amway might be a cult.
Yeah, I would call Amway a cult.
Amway, and it's just about selling products.
I mean, yeah, it's an MLM.
Generic products.
It's an MLM.
Yeah.
But the way that when people get into it, they get super, super culty about it.
Yeah. And they end up buying all these Amway products that they consume themselves. They don't ever
It's like
sell
nobody
them.
wants that shit, bro.
Although my uncle fucking did it for a while, right? But the food was pretty good. He used to buy all these like energy bars.
Really?
Energy bars. They're like a Tiger's Milk bar. They were good. There was a kid who was eating them.
I can't imagine, because I know there was kind of a thing.
They had everything. It was just generic. It was generic products.
Multi-level marketing schemes are just really obnoxious because it's almost kind of like they're encouraging you to use your entire friend group
to sell
as
products.
Marks is what they're telling you to do. And like after a while, your friends are not going to want to hang out with you because every time you hang out with them, all you do is try to sell your crap to them, and they don't want it.
Although they knew that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
The companies knew. Amway knew that wouldn't happen. they would say, you buy all these products and sell them to your friends, and you'll make money. You'll make all kinds of money. But really, all they wanted you to do was you buy these products.
You buy it.
And then you use them up. You use them.
So that's I can't sell these, so...
That's actually what happened. So it was a cult about buying shit.
Yeah, that's what it turned out to be.
So you're basically... And it was... In those days, the shit was a little bit cheaper, but good quality. So it was kind of like buying it from Sam's.
Yeah.
So now you're in the cult of Sam's Club. You know what I mean? Instead of just calling it Sam's, where you buy a membership, you go in there and buy the fucking food. They're going to tell you, fucking, no, you're going to buy this food and you're going to sell it. But you're not. You're going to eat it.
You're not going to grocery store. Nobody wants it.
Nobody wants that shit. Yeah, that's all it was.
You call your friends up, hey, you want to buy? Yeah. No, I don't want to buy anything. Yeah. And Piss off.
They had everything. It wasn't just food. They had like Brasso and fucking, you know what I mean, fucking polishers and floor, you know, soap, and it was just household shit. Motor oil for your car.
Full Metal says, Jenny, I also believe the Eddie Murphy Steve Martin movie Bowfinger poked fun at Scientology. Terrence Stamp was the cult leader. You know what? I've been meaning to watch that movie for many years, and I've never got around to seeing it because I love Eddie Murphy, I love Steve Martin, and I love Terrence Stamp.
I don't remember that movie.
Yeah, I remember when it came out.
What year is that?
It looked kind of funny. It was 90s, was it not? 90s or early 2000s, I can't remember now. But yeah, maybe we should review it one of these days.
Yeah.
You know what we did last night? I was like, I had been watching like all the true crime shit and stuff like that, but I was on Amazon Prime, and they had Bubba Hotep. And I was kind of like, I've seen that movie like 5 or 6 times, but I was like, man, I feel like watching Bubba Hotep again. So we watched Bubba Hotep last night. We ate some peach ice cream that Tom made.
Yeah.
And watched fucking Bubba Hotep. What a great fucking movie that is.
I know.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Every time I watch it, I'm just like, man, this is such a good movie. It's such a good movie.
I don't know about you, Jen. I'm getting hungry.
Okay, Tom's getting hungry.
Yeah, let's go get something to eat.
And fussy. So we have to go. Do you want to go get a sandwich?
I'm thinking about it. Yeah, does that sound good?
Yeah, if you want to go get a sandwich. Yeah. We haven't done that in a little while.
Yeah, and then we can watch some fucking...
Probably Circle K. They're wondering where the fuck we are.
Yeah.
Because honestly, coming home from the club the last several months, we've been going a different way, so we've been stopping at the 24-hour McDonald's. So we haven't been going to the Circle K. So they probably think we died or something. But yeah, all right. So we're going to wrap it up for this evening. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. Have a good weekend. I don't know what movie we're going to do on Monday. Maybe we'll do Bowfinger. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Or we'll find something else. So yeah, have a good weekend, everybody. I think I already said that. And we'll see you guys again on Monday night for the movie review. Good night.